minutes tonight.
Right, and then Candy.
Kia ora koutou. I'm Candy, ko Candy nā taki toku ingoa, and I'm the OTCB member. And if it's all right, can I start with karakia?
Yeah, sure.
Ka pai.
Candy's gone.
Where's she gone?
She's disappeared. All right, we might with Jonathan. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Jonathan Lovett. Yeah, OTCB member, first term, and I'm based out in Onewhero.
Right. Now we've got a gentleman here, Pele 001.
That's me. My name's Phil Ellis. I'm the solid waste team leader at Waikato District Council.
Right, nice to meet you. Evening. Sue?
Sue O'Gorman. I'm the General Manager, Customer Support, and I'm the Executive Support for this Community Board.
Right. Carolyn?
Good evening, Carolyn here. I'm the Onewhero-Tuakau Ward Councillor.
Jenny Scott?
Kia ora, ko Jenny Scott, taku ingoa. I work in community relations for Fulton Hogan. The contract is delivering stage 1A of the Papakura to Drury project.
Kia ora, Jenny. Jenny Wild.
Waikato, ko Jenny Wild toko ingoa. I mahi ana o ki waka kotahi. I'm the comms and engagement lead on the Papakerta to Drury and the Papakerta Bombay projects. Thank you.
Shall I just finish introductions, Candy, and then you can do the before you disappear again. So we've got Ash.
Let's cut me off.
Hi everyone. Ash Mitchell. I'm the project manager for Fulton Hogan on the Papakerta to Drury job. So give everyone an update shortly.
Jason.
Kia ora everyone, Jason Marconi. I'm the new community-led development advisor for council for the North Waikato.
Hello, Jason.
Sean.
Hey guys.
Sean, it's your turn.
Good afternoon, everybody. Sean Jackson, OTCB. Good to see your face here, Jason.
Now we've lost the other gentleman that was here, Lynette, from council. I'm not sure. I can't remember what his name. Oh, here he's back again. I can't remember what his name is. The other gentleman from Democracy team.
G'day. I'm Matt, and I work alongside Lynette, and I'll be assisting with the live streaming and the YouTubing tonight.
Thank you, Matt. Great. Sorry, I forgot your name. And Candy, over to you.
Okay. Kia ora koutou. We'll start with karakia. Ko kia hora te marino, kia whakapapa pauna me te moana. Hei huarahi ma tātou i te rangi nei, aroha atu, aroha mai tātou i a tātou katoa. Haume e hui e tāki. Ko Candy nā taki toku ingoa. Kia ora koutou.
All right, Candy. Now, I've been advised as well. I missed Stephanie, but I can't actually see Stephanie on my screen. So are you there, Stephanie? Is she there, Stephanie? Come in, Stephanie? No, and she doesn't. I think
might have to unmute Stephanie, maybe.
Not sure, but we've got Chris Smith. Chris, would you like to introduce yourself while we look for Stephanie?
Kia ora koutou, called Chris Smith, toko ingoa. I'm the project director from Waka Kotahi NZTA, working on the P2T project.
Right. Stephanie, yep. Do you want to introduce yourself? No.
She's got a delayed connection,
yeah.
I think. Yep.
You've got a delayed.
And Bronwyn, we did it. Yeah.
Now, where's Bronwyn as well? We've lost Bronwyn.
Bronwyn's here. I can hear you guys.
Okay, great. Thanks, Bronwyn.
I can hear you. You just can't see me.
No,
good evening, everybody.
Bronwyn, because I can't see you, just chip in if you've got something to say, because I won't be able to see your hand go up otherwise. And the same with Stephanie. Just chip in if you've got anything to add. But I will try and remember to give you speaking time. All right, so apologies.
Caroline, can we just ask everyone to put their mutes on apart from the speaker because we're getting back noise?
Great. So we've got apologies. We've got Vern. It's not here yet. I think everybody else is. Have we got any other apologies, Sue, that you're aware of? All right, so just need to confirm the status of the agenda, and we've got representatives from NZTA or Waikato here with us, and I will bring you forward once I've just done the initial administration parts. So disclosures of interest. Does anybody have? We've got those. The register of disclosure of interest there, as usual. Then we've got confirmation of minutes from the last meeting in October. Do I have a mover and a seconder?
Caroline, you need to get a mover and seconder for your status of agenda.
Okay, so I'll move the status of the agenda. Do I have a seconder?
Are we going to put it up? Are we going to share the document so we can see it or what?
Yeah, so we've got Jonathan seconding that. Are you able to screen share, Lynette?
What am I screen sharing?
We'll screen share the reports, Candy, as we go through them. The agenda is on the council website if you're able to find it, but we'll screen share once we get to the reports. So the confirmation of the minutes from October, I'm happy to move those. If I think, Jonathan, did you second those or that was a previous item? Mute.
Previous item, I seconded, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't there at the last one, so I can't.
All right, Sean seconding the minutes. Great. There we are. All those in favour? That's carried. Okay, let's get to the. So I'll move all the reports be received. Do I have a seconder? Yep, Jonathan, thank you. And we'll move straight to the first item, which is an update on the Papakura to Drury South project. And welcome to everybody from Waikato. Nice to see you all. Over to you. I'm not sure you're.
All right, thanks very much. I'm not sure if the presentation is able to be put up on the screen or if you've got access to it. That might probably help, or I can share my screen potentially.
It might be best if you share your screen, Chris, because I can't get mine up because I'm in the minutes.
Okay. It's going to be a joint presentation from myself and Ash Mitchell, so I'll just at a certain stage pass to him and then I'll finish off at the end. So just bear with me. Can everybody hopefully see that?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Righto. Goodness for technology. Okay, so this is just really an update for everybody on the Papakura Drury project. Just a bit of overview, and you may well have seen some of this information before, but after probably about 6 months, it's worthwhile just to quickly run through a few things again. So it's a $655 million project, and it's part of the New Zealand upgrade program the government announced at the start of 2020. It's one of a number of projects under that umbrella. It supports growth in South Auckland, particularly a lot of the growth that's happening south of Drury, and also all out towards Pukekohe and Pairasha and so forth. It improves access along and across the motorway, enhances local connectivity and network resilience. There's some areas that are currently a wee bit prone to flooding, so we're going to sort of try and fix some things up there. Improving travel choices and environmental outcomes as well. And we're consenting and constructing it in stages over the next 5 years. As an overview, so the key features and benefits of this whole project are there's a number of different things, but there's an additional lane in each direction. We've got wide shoulders on the motorway for future bus services along that corridor. There's a 4 kilometre shared walking and cycling path. Now that extends the 4.5 kilometre one that was connected as a part of the Southern Corridor initiative a wee while ago. And this links between Papakura and Drury. Improved access across Tatawai 1. We've got replacement of the Park Estate and Bremner Road overbridges. They're being made, I guess, stronger and bigger, and they're nearly 60 years old, catering for all the growth that's happening on the western side of the motorway. Papakura Interchange improvements, including a new southbound on-ramp. Drury Interchange upgrade, so it's a full replacement of the interchange at Drury, and future proofing for future or additional railway lines. It's also for covering the electrification work that Kiwi Rail's in the process of doing. And it also includes some local improvements on Great South Road in that general region or general area. Improved safety barriers, lighting and signage, new noise walls, some urban design features and landscaping. And just to note that 100% of stormwater will be treated for all new and existing surfaces, which is not something that's happened in this location before. The project stage is mapped. Apologies, this has sort of been turned sideways. The north is at the left-hand side there, so if you sort of swivel your head around, you'll get the right orientation. But we're currently in delivery for stage 1A, which is in green. And then the next stage after that, it will be stage 1B1, which is the Drury Interchange. Looks quite small, but it's actually the biggest from a cost perspective and the most complex from a build perspective. And then also the orange next to stage 1A is the shared use path, a portion of that. At some stage during the delivery of 1B1, we'll commence the delivery of stage 1B2, which is the bit in between and covers the Aotearoa or Slippery Creek Bridge area. The space or the area beyond that, stages 2 and stage 3 on that plan for future route protection. We're looking to commence the route protection process the next year, and that will be for delivery in sort of many years in the future, but protecting the land now will make it easier to deliver later. And that includes a new interchange at Drury South to cater for a lot of that growth that's happening in that area. So an overview of stage 1A. This is my last slide before Ash kicks in. So stage 1A extends from about 900 metres north of the Papakura Interchange down to just south of the BP Service Centre. The key features of that include the sort of overall things I mentioned before, the additional lane and wide shoulders in each direction, the replacement of the Park Estate Bridge, which you can see in that picture about midway up the motorway, new noise walls at various locations there, mainly next to the existing residential areas. Upgrading services, there's 3 large culverts going in to replace some smaller drains that go into the motorway. And then, of course, treatment of all stormwater as well. So I'm just going to hand over to Ash, and Ash, if you just let me know when you want me to click on, okay?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, hi everybody. As I said in the introduction, I'm the project manager for Fulton Hogan, who's delivering the stage 1A that Chris has just talked about. So just thought I'd give everyone a bit of an update on the physical works that are happening on site at the moment. Last time we came and presented, we talked about the overall staging that the project's going to see over the lifespan of the job. This presentation is more around what we've achieved and what's coming up, but happy to take some questions at the end if anyone has questions on the bigger thing. So in recent days, one of our big milestones that we've recently achieved is the lifting of the bridge beams at Park Estate Road, and that's what you can see in the photo on the screen. So that's Park Estate Road, which is the critical path for the project. So this is where a lot of the energy and effort is going into at the moment. And if you have travelled up the road and made it into Auckland, you would have driven through here and you would have seen a hive of activity over the last few months with a lot of cranes. And what we are doing in that space, I suppose, is we've got 3 active fronts happening. We have the bridge in the middle, and then on either side, we are forming a very significant retaining wall, which enables us to widen that embankment for the future width that's needed on that road to accommodate the new design. So mid-October, we closed the road at night time and we lifted 10 of the bridge beams into position over 2 nights. Each of those bridge beams is in excess of 30 metres long and weighs in excess of 50 tonnes. And that was really successful when we did 5 beams each night. And of course, 1 night for northbound, 1 night for southbound. In addition to that, over the last few months, obviously with the exception of level 4 when we weren't working, we've been completing all the piling work. And each of those retaining walls has a large number of piles that go about 20 metres, or between 10 to 20 metres deep into the ground. And all that retaining wall piling work has now been completed. So we're very much coming out of the ground, and there's good progress being made at Park Estate Road. And then the last point there is just the western retaining wall on schedule, but all of Park Estate Bridge and Road is on schedule. Chris, if we just jump to the next one, please. A little bit further along, good progress is being made in the motorway widening and the noise walls. So the big focus further down the job outside of the Park Estate area is getting the noise walls up to reduce and limit the effect we have on the nearby residents. And what you can see in this photo, which is a little bit hard to see, but you can see the fence line between our work site and the reserve and a few adjacent properties. Along there's 200 piles to support the new noise wall, and they're spaced between 4 to 8 metres apart. So a lot of work been going on in the last couple of months with progressing that piling. And in addition to that, so that the main section on the noise wall there is between Beach Road and Park Estate Road on the eastern side. In addition to that, we have a small section of noise wall up at Jack Farrell Park, where we have established site and started removing some vegetation, but that's only been in the last couple of weeks. And then on top of that, really, it's just been a lot of earthworks and underground work, which is a little bit harder to see the progress. So we've made really good progress in the earthwork space. All the central median has been excavated out to depth, subgrade tested, and granular layers starting to go back in. And over the coming weeks leading up to Christmas, we'll see a big push in the pavement space there, with grader crews starting to establish and starting to bring those pavement layers up. And then the second to last point there is around underground services. So a lot of work's been occurring each night with getting underground services across the motorway and connecting everything up for the future stages. So a lot of the work that is happening on the job at the moment is at night time, and that's purely just from a safety and access perspective. And all the vegetation removal work and haul road construction is pretty much done now. We've removed what we've needed to. All right, Chris, if we can move on to the next one. So before I get into the text update, here's just a picture of the Papakura Interchange. So the very top there, just to the, I suppose on the top side of State Highway 1 is our Beach Road compound, and that's where the noise wall starts, heading towards the right-hand side of the photo. And obviously a little bit hard to see, but the central median there, which is a grey colour with the gravel that's gone back in. But the upcoming works for the next quarter really is we're getting ready and looking at the demolition.
I'm on a council Zoom call. I'll call you after. Okay, be about 8. Okay.
We're getting ready for the demolition of Park Estate Bridge. So with us building the first longitudinal half of the bridge, we're getting ready to shift Park Estate Road over and put one lane of traffic up onto the new bridge with traffic lights controlling traffic. And once that's completed early in the new year, we will come in and we will demolish the old bridge, which then enables us the space to build the second half of the bridge in a longitudinal manner. So we're on target for that. And just working through with ASM and ATOC the traffic window when we can actually bring that bridge down when we've got the most amount of time. The next big traffic switch, which the members of the public will see, is mid-June, and that's when the central median will be fully completed and the new barrier will be installed, and we'll shift all the traffic in towards the middle of the road. And we'll reshift the steel temporary barriers that everyone sees when they drive through the job, and that will open up and create more real estate on the 2 outside berms, which enable the next stage of the project to commence. In addition to those works I've talked about, at the Papakura Interchange, we can see here a new southbound on-ramp is going to be built, and that's going to come through where that compound area is, just above the main alignment. So new off-ramp from Beach Road that will slip around that corner and join onto the main State Highway 1 heading south. And the regular night works will continue until the central median is completed. So there's a lot more night works planned, and that will continue through to mid-year when we are ready for that next traffic shift. Chris will get the change. So this is just a bit of visual representation of that staging to make it a little bit clearer. So we're currently in phase 1 with 3 active work sites. So working in the middle of the road at night and working on the 2 outsides, a combination of day and night work. And phase 2, which is on the right of the screen there, is the next traffic shift, which we're aiming for mid next year. And that's shifting all the traffic in, running on the new permanent median surface, which then gives us more space on the outside to complete the widening. So we're in the longest traffic stage at the moment. And once we move into phase 2 next year, the stages start coming a lot quicker and only a few months apart, rather than at the moment where we've been probably for the last 6 months. And
that's it, I think, Ash. I see there's a couple of comments in chat. I don't know if they're questions. I'm hesitant to touch that button in case I lose the presentation because I'm not familiar with Zoom. Do you want to wait to the end or?
No, I'm well.
You're okay. The chat questions are just that I'd missed someone from the introductions, and that asking everybody just go on to mute.
Very good, thank you. All right. So 1B1, which is the next stage of work, it's the Drury Interchange. We lodged a notice of requirement and consents with the EPA, the Environment Protection Agency, in June. That was under the fast-tracked consenting act that was introduced last year to help expedite some projects in light of COVID. We've actually just had that consent approved a week and a half or so ago, so that was good news. Appeal period goes through till about next Wednesday or the Wednesday after. Applications were assessed by an EPA expert panel. As I say, we got that decision. And we're starting early works as a part of that consent in Drury. The bridge is over the railway line. It's just on the bottom right-hand corner of that picture. You can see there's just before they go underneath the motorway is the railway line. We basically got to build 2 new bridges on that side and then another couple where the northbound off-ramp is. And they get all built and operational, then we pull the old ones down. They've got to be put in place because the electrification requires a higher bridge in that location, so they've all got to be replaced. And the main construction works for the Drury Interchange will start in 2023. So just a bit of orientation here at the Drury Interchange. This is sort of, I guess, looking from north at the bottom of the picture to south at the top. Out towards Papakura at the right-hand side and towards Drury on the other side of that left-hand side. We've got the dark sort of blue swoosh through the middle to the left of the existing State Highway 1 is the new alignment for the motorway there. And that means we can build those bridges, build that sort of area of motorway largely offline before we remove the old part. You can see new stormwater features. There's actually 8 new bridges that are being put in place as a part of stage 1B1. So you've got a big project and a lot of work to be done when you look at all of them. I won't go through them all because I think this presentation will be sent to you if you haven't got it already. New traffic lights in through the various key intersection points, and the yellow line shows the extent of shared path. So there's quite a lot of information, that drawing, and I'll sort of leave it to you to look more closely at it. And then at Papakura, key features there are the new southbound on-ramp, which is shown in sort of white, roughly at the top middle of the picture. Now, just to note, that's in conjunction with the existing looped southbound on-ramp, so it just means it's easier for vehicles to enter the motorway and from different directions. The yellow line again shows the proposed shared use path, as well as a signalised crossing point for those users. There's a bit of work to do up there. We're hoping to start that southbound on-ramp early in the year, I think, isn't it, Ash? Just on mute, I think so.
Sorry, yes, no, that's correct, Chris.
Thanks. Stage 1B2, progress on that one. We separated that out from a consenting standpoint due to a site of cultural significance at Opahiki. That's the area, I suppose, to the south of the river there, sandwiched between the motorway and the river. That's the Ngakaroa stream and also the Aotearoa stream. That area is a site of significance. So we've just been working with various mana whenua on a appropriate design option through that particular length, and we think we're getting pretty close to identifying an alignment, and we'll be getting that design work on that moving pretty promptly. And we're expecting or hoping to lodge a consent for that portion in late 2022. That will also be via the fast track process. And just as I noted before, stages 2 and 3 to Bombay, between Drury and Bombay, will be a consent, sort of a notice of requirement route protection process next year as well.
Just before we move on, Chris, just on that last slide, just while we're designing and consenting the project in 3 stages, in terms of construction, it will all run in together. So it will all be open together. It's just, you know, because of the complexities of each, we're just sort of consenting them separately, just so that Ash and his team can get started working on that first bit while, you know, and get a head start on that while we're doing the consenting for the rest of it.
That's right. I think whilst we've talked about 2026, 2027 sort of time frame for completion, I think we've still got a bit of work to do in the next wee while to see if we can pull that a bit closer. But there's a lot of things to factor in, like land acquisition and so forth. So, and just design process. But we're hoping to try and do that a bit faster if we can in due course. We'll know more later. That was it. I'll just go back to that question slide.
That's great, thank you. That was very informative. Right. I'll take questions. I can't. Oh, great, thanks, Lynette. I was going to say I can't see everybody on the same screen. I think I can now see. I'll just give Bronwyn and Stephanie a chance to see if they've got any questions first, since we can't see them. Bronwyn, have you got any questions?
No, very well spoken. Understood.
Very good.
Great. And Stephanie?
No, I don't have any questions either. Very good presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, now I'll open it to everybody else. Sue's got her hand up.
Not being a board member, but I will leap in and ask a question, being a local. I'm just interested with the Pukekohe off-ramp. There's obviously a significant issue with backup of traffic, and I mean, it's a messy intersection. So what's the timing for improving that? Because that obviously affects a lot of our North Waikato residents if they're working in Auckland and they're coming home to Tuakau. You know, the backlog there is quite significant, and like that BP service station is a complete right, you know, like trying to get through there and, and even just trying to get off the motorway when I'm going to Tuakau from Papakura, you know, you can spend quite a long time, so everybody nips off and goes round the roundabout and comes back up, and then it takes you even longer to get off, so it really needs sorting. So I'm just interested in the timing on that.
Yeah, it's about, we start work in that space properly about 2023. So we're still a couple of years away from starting work on it. Okay. And I think you're probably looking at Ash and that will be able to work through these programs in more detail in due course, but you sort of two to 3 year time frame. Is it right, Jenny? Isn't it?
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Sue, but I think you're talking about the Bombay interchange, aren't you?
Oh, sorry, Bombay interchange.
Sorry, Bombay. I was thinking about the Drury interchange for Pukekohe.
Sorry, okay. Apologies.
Bombay's. Yeah. We're looking to do some local improvements there, aren't we, Jenny?
So in terms of the wider improvements like the motorway widening and getting all the way down there, that obviously will be decades off. But we are also looking at interim safety improvements there in the meantime. We've done some traffic modelling about signalise, you know, what would be the best option for that interchange, and that's looking at signalisation. Now we're at the request of the Franklin Local Board, and we're also looking at how and when that might be funded, but we're also doing a little bit of additional modelling at the moment, working in conjunction with BP as to whether it would work and whether it's appropriate to signalise their exit at the same time and whether that would be practicable. So we're actually doing some traffic modelling with BP at the moment to see if that would be a practical part of the mix, and then hoping to get some updates in the first quarter next year about when we do signalise it, when that might, whether that can be within a year or 3, or what the time frames on that signalisation might be.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, all the right things were said there. Bombay, the Pukekohe and the BP station. So I got that one. Sorry.
All right.
So sorry, he's not local. I get it.
I used to be.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions? No. Well, thank you for a very informative presentation, and it's actually great to see all those improvements and changes happening every time we head down the motorway. So look forward to more changes in the future. So has your work been held up at all with the lockdown, or has it just allowed you quieter time to do stuff?
Well, the level 4 stuff definitely affected, didn't it, Ash? But level 3's been pretty smooth.
Yeah, no, we're there's actually been some benefits to level 3, so we've been able to get on the road a little bit earlier at night because the traffic volumes have been down. We probably haven't been progressed enough through the job to really take massive advantage of it just yet, but level 4 we weren't working like everybody else, so we lost that time, and that's just been added on to the end of the job in terms of the build time.
Oh, that's great, thank you. So I'll let you guys go now to enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'd just like to welcome Leanne and joined us,
Carolyn, and we'll see you.
And Vern's joined us as well, so welcome.
Thank
Going
you.
to move to the next item now, which is the discretionary fund report. So that's on your agendas on page 34. So so we've got the report there, and we've got the funding guidelines. Now they so one of the key things we wanted to talk about tonight was whether there were any groups that we wanted to do like pre-allocated notional allocation of funding for in anticipation of them needing the funding. So don't know, we had oh yeah, Leanne, you got your hand up?
Yeah, through the chair, would you like to hear the funding presentation and the new model from Julie and myself first before you move into that phase of talking about what you would like to see funded in the near future? Yep,
that would be great. And yeah, I've just seen Julie appear, so welcome to Julie as well.
Yeah, I'll pass you over to Julie in the first instance. So first of all, thank you very much for allowing us to join your meeting. I'd also like to take the opportunity to introduce Jason Marconi, who you may already know through previous work, but he's now joined us as our community-led development advisor for the northern part of our district. So he's going to be closely linked in with yourselves and focusing very much around the blueprint. So I hope you don't mind, Chair, but I just thought to take the opportunity to, although you know him, to give you his new title, so to speak. I'd also, if possible, just like to share my screen with you in a presentation that we've taken out to all our community boards, if that's okay.
That's fine, that'd be great.
Should technology allow me that? Okay, so I'm sure you're all aware of it, but I won't make too many assumptions. But we have been undertaking for the last 18 months actually in council a review of our funding and the way that we undertook our funding. So primarily we started 18 months ago on understanding the impact our funding was having, or lack of, depending on how you looked at it, and what it was actually costing us to run that, as in using the ratepayers' money to fund certain projects and what have you. So we were tasked by the mayor and ourselves as a community-led team to actually look at what is the best way to undertake our funding in the future and what we would be best spending money on. At the same time, we were also aware of the blueprints and community aspirations that our communities have talked to us about that was important to them. And to be very frank with you, there was very little alignment between the funding that was being given out and what our communities wanted as a whole as well. So on the 18th of October, after, as I said, 18 months, we've been going through a review of our funding and what our funding looked like and how we were going to support for the future the actual community aspirations or blueprint aspirations that our communities had. So in a nutshell, on the 18th of October, it was agreed by council that the funding that used to be would now be realigned to the blueprint and community aspirations programme. However, for you as a community board or a community committee, what we would do is make sure that you kept your current underspend, which I think is around about 50 odd K for yourselves. And also for this year, you still be allocated your money, which was your discretionary money. But what we wanted to talk to you about really was the purpose of this funding. We wanted to, first of all, recognise the community boards and committees and make sure that you were empowered to deliver your own funding and make your own funding decisions. We wanted to be supportive where we could of what was important to you around your community events, so what we call seed funding, because you as a community board understand what's happening in your community. We wanted to, it says a chai in there, but I don't know what that means. It should have been achieving, so I do apologise. We wanted to achieve maximum productivity with minimum waste or expense. And what that means is that in the previous state of how we were funding, it was probably well, it wasn't probably, it was costing us, for every dollar that we spent, the process cost us 39 cents. So the idea of allowing and empowering you as a community board is that we take all that waste, so the money goes directly more to the purpose of what our communities wanted to spend it on.
We can still see slide 1, Julie, so I'm not sure if you've moved to a second slide.
No, I'm still on the same slide,
Okay,
Caroline. Thank
Right.
you. So I'll go through that. We were also aware as well that, you know, at the end of the day, this money that we have underneath discretionary fund is our community's money. And we needed to ensure that we were balancing risk and opportunity carefully, and that we were seen to be spending the money in the right places. We've been very much focused on not looking at the rats and mice of funding, you know, the small amounts of funding that wasn't measuring up to what your community wanted. And we wanted to be supportive of match funding as well. So in a nutshell, this first slide talks about what were the principles behind allowing and working with the community boards like yourselves so that you're empowered to actually deliver your own funding and make decisions yourself and manage that whole process yourself. The principles that we wanted to stick to, and just to go through with you as well, is that the carryover of funding is yours. So the underspend that you already hold is to stay with you. And then this year's budget is also going to you as well. The difference is around empowering you as a board or committee is that you manage your own funding through whatever process we work with you on. And we're going to talk to you in a little bit about the process that we advise and want to work with you on. And the people that you'll be working with more directly will be the democracy team and the finance team. And that is purposely taking out all of the waste that currently sits or was sitting in the old funding model. Now, where we can, a community board or a committee, it will be aware of the blueprint or community aspirations that are important to your communities. So what we're hoping for is that with the CAB budget that we currently have, which is towards the community and aspirations blueprints, we'd like to see if we could work in partnership with you around some of how your funding may complement that, or our funding may complement yours. And what we would say to you is that all of the money should be being spent on an annual basis. And that allows our communities to understand that the seriousness of how we take the funding that we take from them around discretionary funding, and that we can measure it on an annual basis as well. So I just wanted to share with you some of the principles. Now, for those of you that aren't fully aware of everything that has been being discussed over the last 18 months, Leanne is going to talk you through the process of the new funding model that allows you as a community board to manage funding. I'm happy to take some questions now if you wish, Chair, through you, Chair, but also you may want to do that at the end after Leanne's described the process.
I think we'll do it at the end to be easier, I think.
Okay, thank you, Chair. I'll hand over to you, Leanne, and I'll move the slides so everybody can see it better.
Thanks, Julie. Just before I move into these slides, I just want to advise that we will be coming out to the boards in February, all the boards and committees, to talk to you about blueprinting and community aspiration projects and how that's going to roll out with the CAB budget and the community-led development team. And just to say that in your area, that will be Jason Marconi working on that project. So for this process around how you manage your funds going forward, we've come up with this process that enables you as a board to do this yourselves with the support to cut out waste, but with the support from the democracy and finance team. So the first part is that the board will determine what community aspirations, blueprints, projects that would like to, or events they would like to support. The second part is that the board or funding representative, it doesn't have to be the chair, will receive all future funding applications. So no longer will I receive them or the funding team. The board chair will work directly with the group or on their application to make sure that it meets the basis of the criteria. And we've provided a criteria sheet that's not too dissimilar to the last one that you had, but it is quite agile, and I'll talk about that soon. And you will work with them and sort of just do that initial vetting of the application, make sure it would be supported in principle, and then you would forward that application to the democracy team. It's all done via email. It's paperless. And then they would place it on your agenda directly behind your current report. So you'll no longer see a report from me. You will see it sitting directly behind your discretionary fund report. And that's the one that we've got in front of you tonight. And then you would consider the application from the group. The group, it's not a requirement they must come along and talk to it, but it would be good if they did, if you wish them to. And then the decision on that application would be noted in the minutes, just as you would make a decision on any other recommendation that's in front of you. And the democracy team will walk you through that process, just like they do at every meeting. Then the committee chair or the representative will send out the communication to say that they've been approved or non-approved, including the payment and accountability requirements. And again, the democracy team will guide you through that process. The invoice from the applicant, we sent to democracy, and then democracy will attach it with the resolution and codes and send it to finance to get the group paid. So that's cutting out the middle. You'll no longer have me, so it directly goes to democracy. It's cutting out all of that waste. The finance team will look after it thereafter. Whereas before, it would hit our funding team. They would put everything against it. Democracy also was involved, and many other people. This way, it's streamlining it, so it just goes direct through 2 channels, and that is it. And then the applicant is sent an accountability by the finance team. They will then send that back to the board through the same channel. Now, we're not dumping you here at the end. My role is definitely not going to support you through this change. We are going to try and still go forward and support what that looks like in the first couple of funding sessions. You can also receive an application any time of the year. So a lot of our boards have said, we want to fund a $500 event, but the community group wants to do that really good event next month or the month after. And the current process has never allowed for that. So this new process, it's not about funding little $50 rats and mice, it's about funding those. $500 can go a long way with a community group who's running a really good thing down at the local park. But again, we also want to see alignment with the blueprint and the community aspirational projects. So, okay. Any questions, anybody with that process?
Yeah, I think there'll be quite a few questions, Leanne. So I'll just start. We've got a couple of ladies on who are not visible, so I'll ask them first so we don't forget them. So, Bronwyn, did you have any questions?
Great idea. Well, it should have come a long time ago from my point of view. And there was something I was just thinking of and I didn't write it down.
We can come back to you, Bronwyn, if you like.
So I know what it was. So this could be on a monthly meeting, our 6 weekly meeting basis now instead of quarterly.
Yes, that's right, Bronwyn, that's what would happen. You'd also, though, you'd want to work with the group to make sure that they worked with the agenda timeframes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, 6 weekly.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Hey, Stephanie, have you got any questions? No, look like Stephanie's got her. No, Stephanie has problems with her internet connection, Lynn, so she might suddenly join us. Just in terms of that last item about like the $500 example, I mean, supposing now someone came to us and suddenly said, look, you know, we want to put a little Christmas event on in Tuakau now, and they want, you know, $500 to $300 or something to do that. We've got the meeting tonight. This will be the last one for the year, I think. So how do we get to approve that? Or can we just approve it in principle and then confirm it later on in January?
So I would probably tonight look at the agility around this. And I think because, you know, we've come to you right at the end of the year. And maybe tonight you could say we want to fund 4 $500 events in this community and make that recommendation. It is your funds and how you're going to process it, and that the confirmation around that would be done via email. I want to challenge, you know, I want to put that out there that is a process that should be that agile. Sorry, Julie.
No, okay. I was just going to, through you, Chair, I was just going to support what Leanne's saying. This whole process is about empowering you to meet your community's needs and for you to make those decisions. All we're saying is we want to help protect that process in some way to make sure that there is clear you know, processes to protect yourselves as well, so that you can see how the money has come and gone, that's all. But I think that's a great idea, you know, about that flexibility and agility. You know, it's for you to make those decisions as that community board.
So I see through the chair that Candy's asked a question through the chat.
Yeah, so I'm going to go to Jonathan first because he had his hand up, and then I'll go to Candy's question.
So so one of the questions I've actually had only just asked is exactly down this line, is that normally the school up here, there's a committee that gets formed over the summer to run the swimming pool, and of course there's been so many questions about it over in the past, and Rebecca's only just emailed me today to say they're looking at, apparently the ministry's happy for it to move ahead and run it this summer, and they've only just received that confirmation, so she's rushing around to see if they can put it together for the summer. And she just emailed me and said, how would we go about getting that funding that we normally ask for? So that's exactly, I guess, the situation, is that they're not sure if they will 100% go ahead, and they're going to attempt to go ahead. But yeah, just from that side of it, I guess, can we slot that into that sort of thing? Is this what we're talking about?
Yeah, we are encouraging that agility. I know that swimming pools, if you open it up for one, that you just be mindful that you're probably going to open up for many pools to come in front of. You do service quite a big area that has the swimming pools.
Yeah. So, I know.
Yeah, so just keep that in mind, and also keep in mind the criteria is a question that Candy's asking. It's around that real broad community involvement. Is key. So if a community like Onewhero says we value that, that's what we want to encourage you to do that. And if a community group is struggling to have something funded beyond the little things or the small events that are very important, we want you to talk to us, myself or Jason and our team. We're going to be looking at how can we help you match fund those projects. That's a focus area for our team.
Yep.
Vern's got a question. Vern.
Awesome, Leanne. Julie, it's what we've been talking about for a good number of years, about how we can be more effective instead of this quarterly basis, or how we've been working. I would actually like to add to what you just said, Leanne, and take it from 4 500 to maybe 500. I think one of the very, very important things in front of us as a community board at the moment is to do exactly what Jonathan is talking about. We need to support all of these local schools or areas with swimming pools to get community back together again. And if we could do this and get it organised right now, that's what I would totally agree with. And I'm sure you and I, with our placemaking hats on, are going to have some interesting conversations.
Yep. Thanks.
So I just want to take, sorry to labour this point, but I just want to take us back through the process to be really clear on this. So Jonathan's given us a real example. So let's use that one. So that group get their information together. They'll email it to me, I guess, as the chair. Then I flick it out. I sort of make sure it's within the area. I'm not going to not forward any. Forward it out to the other community board members. We have an email chat, agree to support it. Then we've got email approval. Then I flick it to the funding people, to the democracy team, and then away it goes. Is that right?
Yeah. In this instance, for this, because we've come to you so late in the year, I wouldn't advise that for everyone, because that wouldn't be a good process. We want to get these communities working within the our time frame. We are being agile, but we don't want to be too ad hoc. So I think for this instance, this end of this year, I'm happy with that process. I think Julie is, and I hear from your committee or your board, sorry, that is the ideal. And
so long as tonight we nominate a amount of funding that we can use for Christmas events and swimming and possibly swimming pool events. Yeah. Okay. Now we've got a couple of hands up, so I'll take those questions. So Candy, you got a hand up?
Kia ora. Kia ora, Leanne. Yeah, I just wanted to know the Anzac Parade. Now I was just trying to look for it on our email. That's separate to this, is that right?
Correct. Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Candy, kia ora. There is a different budget that has been aligned to the Anzac, so it is not something that you have to take out of your budget.
Ka pai. I was just clarifying for Bronwyn, because I know she likes to get ready for that as well. The other thing is, what's the minimum amount and the maximum amount that we're talking about in regards to funding our community groups that we as a board need to consider?
There's no amount. There's no set amount. You can decide that. You could say do a workshop and say next year we're going to fund X amount of community groups, X amount of dollars. Or you could say as a board, there's a placemaking or a community blueprint aspirational project, and we want to do this in Centennial Park. We're going to dedicate the money to that. It's entirely your call.
Yeah. Could I just add to that as well? Learn from us and some of our pains and gains. And some of our pains was, the smallest amounts aren't always the most significant. That doesn't mean that the largest amounts are either. So, some of the key questions you're asking is, if we fund this, is there going to be more than just one group that's going to benefit from it? Well, how does a wider community, and that'll give you a sense of fairness and a sense, if you're challenged in any way about why have you funded this and not this and so on. And it just keeps you well, and it keeps you safe while you're doing, while you've got this responsibility really as well. The reason we said the rats and mice stuff is when we look back through all of the funding, the smaller amounts of funding were often given to just a group that was doing one thing, and it was just beneficial to that group. Whereas what we're trying to do now is encourage people to ask the questions: who's going to benefit from this? Who's the wider community that's going to benefit from it as well? But I think if I also take you back to one of the slides, it's also about, in the new year, Jason and Leanne or whoever will be coming out to talk to you around the community aspirations and blueprint budget, which is another stream of funding that is going to be focused around what our communities have been either aspiring to do or have listed in their blueprints. And there's a possibility that to make some of that happen, we could even match funds with you on what that looks like as well.
And how can we leverage that, and who are our partners? And
Yeah.
Spring Hill Prison, what could Spring Hill Prison make that all you do is pay for the materials and they put the labor in?
Our bandstand. Our bandstand.
Sorry,
having
we've
a
been waiting for.
bandstand. Having a bandstand is what I tried to get here in Tuakau 18 years ago. And maybe they could, if we got the materials, they could build it. I know it's got to be less than 90 centimetres, which is off the ground. That's safety reasons. You don't need handrails or anything. So yeah, maybe we could start with that.
I think that's one of the items that was on the email, Bronwyn, for interested items to fund. Now, Lynette's got her hand up. Lynette, have you got a question?
Yeah, so my question is around audit requirements.
Yeah.
You're talking before about setting aside tonight some money for 4 or 5 groups.
Correct.
Did I get that correct?
That's right.
That's
yeah.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
So when I was involved with all the discretionary stuff for the board, I was told by the finance team that there is an audit requirement that it must be the amount, the name of the group, and what it's for.
Yeah.
It must be set out very clearly. Now, can you just do a poll that says we're going to set aside $500 for 5 projects? Or have you actually got specific projects in mind?
We do have specific projects in mind, Lynette, but also taking on board what Leanne and Julie have said tonight around the Christmas events. We could also notionally decide that we're going to have allocate, say, $2,000 for any Christmas events that come up, and you know, there may or may not. You know, the Christmas parade's cancelled, but that's not to say somebody doesn't want to do something, because this is our last meeting before Christmas. So it gives them benchmark. If we're going to have an email discussion and approval, it gives us some parameters around, you know, approval, expenditure and stuff. Candy's got her hand up, and then I'll come to Julie.
Yeah, so just in regards to that as well, I wanted to ask, because there needed to be a criteria, like I already spoke about the criteria, but in regards to the groups that are applying for money, they used to have to provide some bank information and, you know, bank records and things like that. Does that still apply to this situation?
That will still apply through the invoicing system, and that invoice with the bank details will go through to the democracy team as agreed by democracy.
I mean, in regards to, you know, how they had to be accountable, we had to see their financial records and things like that. Do they still need to do that?
So for a big event or a big thing you're funding, you maybe cap it. You might say, for a small $500 event, we just want to have a letter from the group saying what the event is. For an event, and you might say for something that's $1,000 and more, we want to see the group's financial records, or even $2,000 and more. That's very normal process for all other funders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with that process.
Sorry?
I'm familiar with that process. So those wanting very small amounts like $500 don't have to produce a 14-page application form. Yeah.
We've also simplified the application form from 4 pages down to 2. And we've simplified the accountability report from 2 pages down to 1 to make it easy. So that every group could fill out those 2 pages. It's just got a budget and a form saying who they are, what they want to do, and how much it costs. And they sign it. And so for audit purposes, we would still need an accountability from anybody that gets funds. Yeah, and it's not a hard sheet. We've made it 1 page.
Right. Sean, you got your hand up? You're on mute.
Your mic.
Sorry, there we go. Firstly, I think great. It's great to see us getting streamlined. I guess interested in going back a step to that, i.e. the money must be spent on an annual basis. I'm interested to know more about the future funding in terms of what that looks like. I'm not sure when that discussion's being had. And I guess how we, are we to try and deliver the blueprint projects? Well, we can't without the sorts of money that we have. How we put that lens over it, we talk about moving towards, well, from my understanding, moving towards trying to get more of these blueprints and aspirations delivered. Looking at the discretionary funding guidelines, those don't seem to have changed much to sort of reflect that. It's still more, the guidelines are based at community event and community group sort of funding. And I see the two as quite different. So yeah, interested to hear some feedback.
Yep. So that we've kept that criteria because you're a funder. So you are a funder, your board. You've got funds, you're dispersing them. The community blueprints and aspirational projects might not be something that your board delivers or runs. We would encourage you to advocate for other community groups who have legal entities to go and do that piece of work. So that they wouldn't work with that criteria. They would only work with that criteria when they came to you as a funder. Am I explaining myself clearly? I guess.
Yeah, maybe I need re-explained the purposes of moving the model towards trying to achieve the things that the blueprints have set out.
Yeah. No, so I can answer that, Leanne.
Yep.
If that's okay, sorry. So I apologise, Sean, if if I've not explained that very well. So this particular fund and funding that we're talking about is yours as a community to spend on what you think your community is telling you is important. The community aspirations or blueprints, whichever your communities have, it will be looked at through, say, Leanne and Jason in the first instance, and a whole raft of partners. That doesn't necessarily mean your funding is going to be used. It might go elsewhere. We might pull funding in from somewhere else. All we're saying is that if there's a possibility that we can get funding from lots of different pots, including something that you as a community board want to support, then that would be great. But there is a separate budget, and Jason and Leanne will be coming and talking to you in the new year, or after the new year, January the 2nd, I think the date is, to come and talk to you then around the community aspirations and blueprints. This funding that we're talking about now is purely around the current monies that you have underneath the discretionary fund.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah. So at this point, I just want to, we've got a recommendation here that there's 2 names wanted to be points of contact for the discretionary funding applications. I'm happy to be one of them. Does anybody else want to join me in that? Bern? Okay, that's good.
Yep, happy to.
Yep. That's good. So do I have anybody else that wants to put their hand up for that, or everybody happy with that? You will have to stand aside, Bern, if you're making applications on that you've got an interest in.
That's quite normal. There's no problem with that.
Okay, no, that's all right. I just mentioned it because I know you've got there's a few projects that you're involved in. Yep, Julie.
And just through you, Chair, going back to what the democracy, what Lynette, sorry, I read your name then, called you democracy instead of Lynette, is referring to, is that we do have to ensure that there is a clear audit trail to show, to protect you and to protect the process as well. So although you'll have your 2 appointed people, that may be the people that are contacted, you as a board need to show that you've discussed it and that where it's set and how that money is being spent and everything else. But again, you know, we're not going to just talk to you tonight and then leave it. You know, we'll be coming back out to talk to you in full about that process.
Yeah. No, that's good. So now I want to get down to the detail of that. We've already got $11,000 worth of commitments. Sorry, Jonathan, you got your hand up?
Oh, I was just going to say, if you wanted, I mean, I don't mind looking after any applications from this side, you know, because if from that local, or I can just feed them straight through to you. It's up to you how you like.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, just they do. They would need to come to the two people just to look.
That's
or
fine,
in
yeah.
situations, perhaps if Fern's got to stand aside, you can be the other set of eyes or something.
Good idea.
Yeah. No, that's good. All right. So I want to get down to the. So we've got $11,000 worth of commitments already. So if we just work through those, so we've got the Tuakau Youth Building Project with $3,000. That's just let me know if anybody's not happy with the funding. We've got the entrance fees for the Tuakau swimming pool for 2019-20, and we've got another one for the 2021 season. So we do need to make a commitment for the forthcoming season, which is I'm not sure if that's a 2021-22. Yep, Leanne.
I'm just going to clarify, you've got some funds set aside for pools that's potentially retrospective. They would have already had those seasons, those pools.
Yeah,
you can't give them the money.
No, I know that.
Oh.
This is just ones that they took ages to invoice us on. So that payments we approved those at last meeting or the meeting before. So those should be cleared soon. Does Lynette or Sue, do you know where the status of those ones are? Because we've approved those.
I don't know where they are at the moment. They obviously haven't been paid, but I can follow up on those two that you've just talked about.
Because we approved them a couple of meetings ago because Sean or someone finally got the invoices from them. So we do need to make a budget for the forthcoming season, which I noticed further on in the agenda is 7625. So
we need to try and reconcile that because I've seen all the invoices. All the invoices have gone to Belgravia, and also the invoice to them for the refund of the dollar fee. So all of that has been, my understanding, has been done. So we'll need to follow that up. The 1920 season, that shouldn't be a commitment any longer. If they haven't billed us now for that, we should be looking at writing that off, because that's their problem if they haven't.
Sean, you confirm those invoices did come to the board, didn't they? I do remember.
It's all approved. Yep, I put a paper, not last meeting, but the meeting before. So we approved all of the invoices and we approved the credit note as well.
Yeah. Now the flowers for Bob McLeod, I was waiting because that was during level 4 when the florist went open. So we haven't yet sent those, Lynette. Have we got an address? Because we're waiting on an address for his wife to send them to. Is it to?
Okay, I'll find out and get back and send you the information.
Yeah, great. Now last meeting as well, I was meant to ask Sue about it. I'll bring it up while we're here. There was somebody else that passed away in Tuakau. Harry. That's right. And the family wanted a donation to the Breast Cancer Foundation instead of flowers or anything. Sue, how do we do that? I know you send them a donation. Is it better that one person just sends it and then we just get reimbursed for it, or how do we?
Lynette, do you know about the history of that, how we would manage that one?
No, but you wouldn't have an invoice because it's a donation.
No, that's right.
So I would presume that someone would have to do it to make the donation, and then we would reimburse them.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because you would get an invoice as an individual, so you can claim it against tax. But then we just give that invoice to for reimbursement through a council. Yeah, no, that's good. We can do that.
I'm happy to do that for Hillary.
Great, thanks, Fern. That would be lovely if you can do that, and then get the receipt, the invoice to who do you want to go to, Sue or to Sue? We'll send it to Sue.
Yeah, that's fine, and then I'll make sure it's into the right home.
Do you want me to get the flowers as well?
I don't think the family.
No flowers. The money was
correct. Sorry. Yes, I apologise. Yep.
Come on, get with it.
Yeah. And just make sure this it's on behalf of the Onewhero-Tuakau Community Board, and I don't know. I'm sure Bronwyn knows how to spell the name because I wasn't too sure on the name.
And what figure? What figure would the board
$100.
approve?
We'd said $100.
Done.
Yeah, great. That's
Was
good.
it that passed away?
Hillary Harry.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
She ran the community patrol vehicle for quite a number of years. Bronwyn can update that.
Right. So we've got the other commitments sitting there. Do we know if the Port Waikato Christmas Parade and Children's Beach Digs going ahead? I would hope so. Now we've got the notice on the 15th of December that we're free.
I would say they would be doing it.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything to the contrary, so we'll leave that one there. And then the port report. So now we had the car for the Crime Watch Patrol. Bronwyn, is that still funding needed?
Yes, they're looking at purchasing another car. So we thought of amount of about $10,000, but then that had to go with everybody agreeing on that amount, because then they have to come up with the rest to whatever they decide to purchase.
Yep. So do we want just to notionally at this moment allocate some, because we've talked about, so we allocate some funding for that one. We've talked about the Christmas events. I'm just thinking, though the Lions have indicated they're not going ahead with the parade this year because there was so much uncertainty, that wouldn't stop.
No, but I've already thought of having something in the park down here.
Yeah, I was thinking of the same, Bronwyn. Yeah, yeah.
I discussed that. So I've got a couple of people on board to sort it out, and we would have it on Saturday afternoon, the 18th of December.
Yeah. And how much funding would you be thinking of for that?
Oh, it's just buying little bits and pieces to give the kids that are there. Yep.
So if we set up to 500 for that one, and then do like another 500 just in case something else pops up. So $1,000 for Christmas events, is that sufficient?
And I will keep all the receipts. If I buy something, I will keep all receipts for that.
Yeah. And Jonathan, you mentioned about Onewhero, was that the pool, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's just the pool committee.
And that was for chemicals, or what was that for?
Yeah, they used to apply for chemicals. I didn't do it last year, I think, because there was the issue with the whole thing that was going on. So, and then they had some repairs to it last year as well. So, but I think from memory, it was somewhere around about $600 to $700. I think it is. I mean, that would have to be subject to them confirmation of that, obviously. And Rebecca will probably need to get a new quote for it, and she'll need to get the committee to bring that through and send that through to us as soon as they can, if that's what they want to do.
And we haven't got yet, Leanne?
Yeah, so if you make your resolution a set amount to the Onewhero School Pool Committee, that would cover off what Lynette was talking about earlier on.
Yeah.
And the Papakura pool was your other one, and your third pool. You had three pools that you've always funded.
Nike.
Tikahonga and Nike.
No, not Nike.
It wasn't Nike.
I'd like to suggest we do add Nike to it.
Yeah.
For the community.
Yeah. Okay. So that's 4 pools. And the other one that you could give some consideration, so you've got a resolution on the table tonight and it's nice and clean and tidy, is the Tuakau Youth Centre and the Kaumatua program they run for the lunches. And so you might want to say we give the Tuakau Youth Centre X amount of dollars to do the Kaumatua Christmas lunch.
Yeah, Brian, you're involved with that. How much?
I don't know whether they're going to be doing anything this year at the moment, Leanne. It's that they didn't do anything till level 2 last year.
So they don't have to uplift the funds, but it would keep it a more streamlined process for tonight's committee meeting and not get
so hi Tiaki.
Yeah, I think Leanne, I was indicating that with the afternoon in the park for Christmas, that we could allocate and like that, say 500 for that one and then 500 for another Christmas event. So it could be that Kaumatua event. But at least we've put some notional funding aside. So if that doesn't go ahead, but something else does, then we've got some funding that we've said, yeah, we're happy to support 2 or 3 events to a value. Is that okay? Is that how it works?
Yeah, so it's just to get that resolution across the line that Lynette was talking about with the finance team. And
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just working out, I'm just sort of gathering all the ideas, and then we can do one resolution, you see. So we've got Kaumata lunch, Christmas lunch. Yeah. Anybody got else, Lynette?
So just so that we're clear, these are commitments only at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you've got $500 for Bronwyn's Christmas function in the park.
Yeah.
You've got a further 500 for a different Christmas project, whatever it may be. You are looking at the Onewhero-Tuakau Tikahonga School pools, and the Tuakau Youth Centre could be the Christmas function, the other Christmas function.
Yeah, it's called Haitiaki.
Okay, so how much are you looking at for the school pools?
Yeah, I think we've got to. I mean, we could ask them to see if they all work together and when they got the chemicals all together, which would probably help with that if they're allowed to do that. Because obviously there's another issue about handling the materials as well. But the idea would be to get one of them to talk to the other pools to see what's going on. But as I think it costs, we allocated them, I think it was about 700 it might be, but I mean, it could be anywhere between 500 to 700 per pool.
I think we've talked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've talked in the past, Jonathan, too, as a committee about trying to find out, like, buying it on bulk because it would be cheaper. So if one of them can do a ring around and find out from the others whether they're wanting it or not, then we can. I mean, we could allocate notionally $3,000 for all the pool chemicals for the pools, and then say, because that would buy quite a lot of pool chemicals. I thought it was less than that in previous years. I thought it was more like $400, but might be wrong.
May I jump in?
Yeah, sure, Stephanie.
Yeah, Tikahonga was 300 and Onewhero was 500 for the big pool and 200 for the small. So yes, 700 in total for Onewhero.
I knew there was 700 somewhere around there. Yeah.
Great. So we can probably get quite a lot of pool chemicals for 3,000 if we sort of have a notional allocation of 3,000 for chemicals. We've got 10,000 for the Community Crime Watch car, Lynette. And that covers the swimming pool. We've got 7, 6. So that covers us
7.6 for this coming season, and then obviously we should get some money back from that. So that's So this time we got back. What did we bill them for? About $3,000. I think we got back from the dollar. So the net cost was about $3,000.
Yeah.
But if we put aside,
Sean, you had your hand up.
7,000. Yeah.
I don't want to be a party pooper because I support the work that they do. But I'm a little concerned about allocating 10 grand towards a car. I'd want to see it, that sort of money there has to come with a reasonable amount of process.
Yeah.
I agree, Sean, because the last vehicle they bought was a disaster. And I think we need to have them work through a well-known dealership as opposed to fly-by-nighters at a Sylvia Park.
Okay, do we want to bring that amount down, or it's not urgent? I'm just trying to get their funding lined up for any events that might occur over Christmas or in the new year before we have our next meeting. So we could leave that one till later on in the year, until they're closer to being ready for it. Sean?
Yeah, I'd just like to hear something from, like, if it's 10 grand, right? I'd love, I know Bronwyn's not the only person involved in it. I'd love to hear from their committee. It's 10 grand.
That was just a figure, because whatever the car's going to cost, it's going to be more than that. So just going by what the others were, the Waiuku and the Pukekohe vehicles and the Pocono vehicles were costing was a lot more than the 10,000. I mean, we don't have to do 10,000. We can just say 5,000 and they've got to come up with the rest. So easy.
Yeah. Now I am just wondering, so we've got like $1,000 for Port Waikato. We're only allocating $1,000 for Tuakau events. I do have a little bit of a concern, and I know it's been raised in the past, Lynette, in the funding criteria that the council-owned properties halls managed by hall committees who receive target rate and not eligible for funding. Does that mean, like, even if, say, one of the, say, Nike was organising a like a little Christmas event down there, that they wouldn't be eligible for funding? Yeah, Leanne?
Oh, no, so that would be treated as something separate. So it's more around what they spend on their hall.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so they'd get a targeted rate already, and it would be deemed double dipping if you fund the hall maintenance.
Yeah, so if they wanted paint for the hall, that's a no. But yeah, so but if they're organising a community event, no, that's great. Okay, so I'm just wondering if we're a bit light on funding for Christmas. Is there likely to be any events in the new year, like, you know, Tuakau have I'm just thinking early January, like a picnic in the park or something, Sean?
Only to comment to say that everything I've seen with all the Christmas events is that the organisers are just going, no, it's too challenging to plan it, or I don't want to put all the effort into planning it and then have you tell me no. So from what I've seen,
and it's also the safety provisions with COVID as well. So so 1,000 might be enough for this year.
1,000. Didn't the Port Waikato people have $1,000 that they normally ask for to run their Christmas event down there?
They've got 980 for their two events, with their Christmas parade, children's beach dig, and the garden event.
The beach dig, So I've just written down $1,000. That's all.
Yeah, I'll move making it $2,000 just in case.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea, Sean. Thanks for that. So we got one recommendation is that that myself, Bern, and I'll add Jonathan as well, on behalf of the Onewhero-Tuakau Community Board, be the points of contact for discretionary and funding applications, and that we move a recommendation that the following commitments be made for Christmas event. Oh, you probably got it worded there, have you, Lynette?
No, but I've just got I hope I've got everything covered. So you've got your Christmas event for Bronwyn of 500. You've got a further $1,500 for other events. You've got your pool chemicals for the school pools up to $3,000. And what are you doing about the car?
We can park that within the year.
Okay.
Right. Park it to the February meet. We have a meeting in February,
We'll park that. That's right. We'll park that till then, and we'll get that committee to put an application in. I think it's a bigger item.
And then I can ask them to attend that meeting.
Okay, and you've got a further
right, and then we've got the commitment for the Tuakau
for Belgravia.
And there's a report on the last item on the agenda for that anyway.
Yeah.
So that's to agree to that. Yeah.
That's great, because at least it gets us through the Christmas and early January, and we're not going to run in the difficult situation that anybody wants to run an event suddenly finds they've got no funding. So that's perfect, and then we can always add things to it once we get to February if there's if it's going well. That's great. So I'm happy to move all that. Do I have a seconder?
Can I just add one thing, Candy?
Candy's not here at the moment, Bronwyn. I don't know where she is. She's disappeared again.
Oh, okay.
She might have got internet problems.
Last January, I'm assuming the pools are going to be open. So last January, Candy ran a thing at the pools last year. Remember? And she bought some stuff for it. So maybe that's what the other money can go for. I'm just thinking ahead.
That's right.
I'm just thinking ahead.
No, that's good. And also, too, if they want to run a fun day at the pool or something and they want a bit of funding, we can use that other money that we put into Christmas events for that as well. Yeah. Julie?
Okay. Look, thank you very much for allowing Leanne, Jason and I to come to this meeting and to listen to this conversation. I'm very sure that in the new year, when Jason, Leanne, or even myself come out and see you, we can help you a bit more around some of that larger targeted funding as well that you might want to do. Because I'm very conscious that the underspend over the years that has built up is something we need to help you understand what is valuable for your community that we can come out and help you with as well. So we're really looking forward to working with you all on that. and with your wider community around how we might be able to do that, and then obviously around the blueprints. But if that's okay, then I'll leave because I'm starving.
No, one of the issues we have, Julie, is we only have a blueprint for half the area because the rural area doesn't have a blueprint at the moment. So thank you.
No, but you've got community aspirations, and that's what we're here for.
That's right. We're not going to let the lack of a blueprint get in the way of us spending money in our communities. All right. So
agree.
Yeah. So are we all happy to move to the next item?
Caroline, you didn't get a seconder for that, all that stuff?
Oh, yeah. There we are. Jonathan seconding that.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. All those against? No. Good. That's it.
Caroline, could I ask, Phil's been very patiently sitting here through our meeting, and he's talking to one of the items on the Works and Issues report, which may well be coming up next, but I just wondered whether we could bring that Phil's item to the front so that he can get away if he needs to. So he's doing
absolutely.
waste one.
Yep. Which one? Yeah, the waste one.
So it is the project and issues. It is the next item. But if we can just do and I think we've even got it as the first item. So we're perfect. Good.
Right. There you go, Phil. Thanks.
See you, Leanne.
Oh, thanks, Leanne. Bye. That was great. Very good.
Thank you. Thanks.
You're on mute, Phil.
Can you hear me now? Yeah, rookie mistake. Well, thank you everybody for giving me a little bit of time. This is really mostly for your information. We've had approaches from our contractor up northern area of the world, that's Smart Environmental, asking if we could consider moving the Port Waikato refuse and recycling collection from Sunday to Monday. The reason for that is it's mostly health and safety. Under COVID, which we seem to have spent far too much time in, the volumes of refuse and recycling have gone up quite considerably with everybody home and creating all sorts of rubbish and things. Also, because of the way the schedule is written, their drivers quite often have to work 6 days a week or sometimes even 7. We haven't been able to have the Glen Murray recycling collection, so we've had to reschedule that and split it in half and do one at Nike and one at the Wairamarama Hall, and we're going to be doing that for Christmas. So also with Labour weekend and long weekends, you'll know everything moves out a day. So we're in a situation where these guys are working 12, 13 hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week, and we're getting reports of fatigue and incidents, and it's quite a worry for us. So we've had a look at what we can do about the Port Waikato collections currently on a Sunday. It turns out that Smart Environmental have a relatively light day on Monday. And in our estimation, for permanent residents, it shouldn't make too much of an issue. For those people who just visit the place on the weekend, the current collection's on a Sunday morning, so we don't believe that moving it to Monday will affect them too much anyway. At this point, we haven't gone to the community. We wanted to sort of socialise it with the community board first. It is an operational decision. There's no change in level of service, so it doesn't require a resolution or approval. It's really for your information. I'll be interested to hear your feedback one way or another on it. Before, what the proposal would be, we'd put together a flyer and we'd deliver it in everybody's letterbox and would give them a certain amount of time to get adjusted to the fact, and then we'd move it to a Monday. And we do this sort of thing from time to time around the district. Occasionally we change days and routines for one reason or another, usually operational. So I just wanted to let you know that, what we're considering, and be interested to hear what you think about it.
Right, I want to give Stephanie a chance to ask any questions first, because she's the most local board member. Stephanie, do you have any comments or questions?
Thank you. No, I don't really have any questions. I personally can't see a problem. That's our rubbish collection, so yeah, impacts on me, and I'm happy.
Right. So Sean, you had your hand up.
I guess just a question. Beach towns, like, is the recycling being picked up from a point, or is it household recycling and rubbish you're talking about moving?
No, we're talking the curbside.
The curbside.
Curbside house-to-house collection. Yeah.
I'm sure and I don't know what percentage of the population there is, but you know, the weekenders. I know, having myself stayed at various beach towns over Christmas holidays, things like that, you want to be able to put it out and have it dealt with before you've gone, rather than leaving rubbish bins out. Like you're going to be there on a Sunday and then not back for 3 weeks, and your recycling bin stays out on the curb. I don't know how much of the population that is in Port Waikato, but I could see that potentially being an issue. Not a problem for full-time residents, but I imagine there's quite a few that are out there.
Because I went to the LTP drop-in session earlier in the year, way back about March, and I sort of canvassed as many of the locals as I could get into a corner at the time, and they all seemed pretty happy, actually. I didn't really get too much negative pushback.
Yeah, I would suggest also that the people that would have attended that meeting will be permanent residents.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah.
Fern, you had your hand up.
Yeah, hi there, Phil. I guess the only point that I would raise would be that we already are seeing beaches getting heavily used, and I would just like to see that all of the recycling in the bins at the port itself are ready and accessible for weekend use, rather than them already being full by the time you get to the weekend, and then you get the rubbish overfill.
Yeah.
I would have thought actually it's easier doing the curbside collection in Port Waikato on a Monday, because I would have thought that Saturday and Sunday probably their busiest days in terms of traffic flow through the community. So for the trucks stopping and starting, it's actually probably easier for them to move efficiently through that community on a Monday than on a Saturday and Sunday. But also too, for those who are not resident in Port Waikato, they could probably just talk to their neighbours and someone will chuck their empty bin into the backyard at some point. Most of those communities are usually pretty supportive of each other. Sean, get a hand up.
Is there a place as an option for them, for those residents that don't live there, to be able to drop it off and say they're there on a Sunday, they want to go and take their recycling and go, it's dealt with? Is there a recycling bins or a small station area where that can happen?
Yeah, there's something we can look at. Yeah, sure.
They could drop it at their neighbours.
Yeah.
The neighbours would manage their bin for them.
I mean, we could.
A lot of Airbnb and that sort of thing.
All right, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. We could run it as a trial for 3 months and see how it works. We do that sort of thing in other areas. For instance, we're doing day change and hour changes in places like Horutu. New subdivisions that come on the stream, we try things for 3 or 4 months and then canvass the residents and see if they're happy. I mean, of course, you're never going to get 100% happy. There's always somebody going to complain and moan about no matter what you do. But I think, just don't lose sight of the health and safety issue. It is a significant issue. And if we, if we have driver incidents, we've already had a recycling truck turnover about a year ago this time. Sean?
Shouldn't Smart Environmental have more drivers then, and then not become the, to be honest,
well, yeah,
health and safety concern about them being able to do the job?
Well, that's an obvious thing. You could argue they need more trucks and more drivers, but trucks are $300,000 or $400,000 each, and the build time is 12 months, and drivers are hard to come by. And yes, we can put on more trucks and drivers, but your rates would go up. Because at the end of the day, it's the ratepayer that pays for the contractor. So this is a way of dealing with the problem without adding a lot of cost into the system.
Jonathan, you had your hand up. You're right. The other thing I would ask, and I guess it's because I've got a union job, do they get paid extra for working the weekends? Because that's the other factor. If they don't, then I think we should value their weekends as a chance to be at home with their families.
No, I've got one or two of them are actually owner drivers that have different contracts, and I believe, although we don't have visibility of this, that it's pretty much a flat rate, hourly rate. So they don't get paid overtime for working extended hours during the week or weekend. You know, for instance, a Sunday they get paid the same as a Tuesday or Wednesday.
And I think for that reason alone, that you should try and consolidate the work into the weekdays, not the weekends.
Yeah.
Because actually, when it's not an essential service that has to be done on a Sunday, it could easily be done on the Monday, as you've highlighted. So yeah,
it is very difficult to find good drivers as well, and you know, if people are having to work 6 or 7 days a week, it's even less attractive. I mean, rubbish is not the most glamorous truck driving job around in the first place, so it's tricky. You can understand these guys are out in all weather and the sun and the rain, and I agree. I think they need a bit of time off. They need a break.
That's good. Thank you. So,
Okay. Well, thank you for our time. Yeah. Well, we will consider the points you've raised, and we'll go and have a think about it, and we'll let you know how we get on.
Lovely. Thank you. All right. So thank you, Phil, and thank you for your patience sitting through the other items. So that's good. We'll just go through these item by item. I think it's quickest way. Lighting at Port Waikato. There's the update there.
So the November update, the work's been commissioned and expected to be completed in February. So we'll just keep it on the action list and have a look in February and make sure it's been done. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Any questions from anybody? No. George Street, Buckland Road corner.
Right. All of the ones that have verbal update to be given to the meeting from Roading. I haven't had any feedback from Roading to be able to give you the verbal updates. So I apologise. I'm not going to be able to give you that update at the meeting. There's a number here that I can't give a verbal update to. So what I'm going to keep at them, and if I do get updates, I'll flick them through by email, and then they'll be onto the action list for the next meeting. Yeah. So my apologies for that. The speed reduction signs, they have been changed for daylight saving, so they should automatically change, but they have checked that and they say they have been updated, so we can close that one. I'm hoping take that off the system. Right. So number 4 disappears.
That would be good, Candy. Welcome back.
Number 5, speed bend on Jellicoe. That was for Vernon Candy, lodgement of a service request. I'm not sure whether that's occurred or not.
Through you, Chair. I've got a little update for that following, or a discussion point for it. When we go through the rubbish bins, just because it's in my report with that.
Okay. All right. Will it create another action?
I'm saying not, but or at least it might be a long-term action.
Right. All right.
Just I think keen to hear people's reality on the. Yeah.
Okay. All right. The Tuakau, sorry.
The Tuakau
pool upgrade. So the leak has now been fixed. We've had confirmation of that. They've done a couple of other things they've put there. And then I note on the project list at the end that they will be looking at the entrance and what have they said, entrance, and that was further down on page 46. Other works programmed, Tuakau pool changing rooms and pool entrance works. So I think we should probably put an action in there about when can the community board engage with the facilities team. The new team leader is well ensconced now, so hopefully in the new year she will be quite active once we've got all of this sorted. So if we put an action in there to say that we'll connect with Mel and her team. I think that will mean that then you can then re-engage on those discussions you've already had. Yeah.
Candy, you've got a question?
I do. I'm just wanting to know, will the pools be opening this year?
Yes, in my report, which is the last report, the dates they're intending to open is the 4th of December. I think it is Saturday, the 4th of December, all going according to plan with COVID, and they go through till March. But obviously that'll be dependent on whatever happens with various traffic lights and all sorts of things. So, but at this stage, I think the communication Sean's had with Belgravia, they said the intention is to open on the 4th of December.
So next week.
I think it's 4th of December. Let me just check on my report. Was that right, Sean? Do you remember? Was it 4th?
They haven't actually confirmed when that would be opening.
No, that was the dates of the season, wasn't it? Yeah.
I'd have to look that up.
Yeah. So the dates of the season that she gave us was the I've got it in that report.
Usually the first Saturday of December.
The season runs from Saturday the 4th of December through to Sunday the 27th of March. Yeah, but they'll be waiting to see what happens with various traffic lights and lockdowns and things, I think, to confirm the actual opening day. Yeah.
Right. So we can skip the next item, the charter, to number 8, which is the Tuakau Youth Centre building project.
Yep. And you've committed funds to that, I believe. Yeah.
Yep. Right. Sean?
Just on that one, it isn't going anywhere. In terms of us actually being likely to spend that money.
Okay.
Is there a reason why it's not going anywhere?
Yeah, we don't have anyone who wants to do $50,000 worth of funding applications.
Ah, you mean, right.
So initially, the community board committed some money and we got plans drawn up and things have been quoted. And I think it was just a sum in the beginning that was just $5,000 or something like that. And I think some of the money got spent. Well, I know some of the money got spent because the draftsman, Carl, got paid. But as to whether it wants to sit there as a, partly towards the funding for that building, but yeah, someone's got to want to push it forward.
Through the chair.
Yeah.
Is it in order that we, as a board, commission a professional to do this work for us and pay them?
I was just going to ask Sue that, how we go about that, because it's a big project, so it might need to commission somebody with some project management expertise to do that for us. Is there anybody, Sue, that you can think of that would do that work through?
Sorry.
I thought it was just a funding application.
It's just a funding application.
Yeah.
Or someone
But it's a significant funding application, isn't it? 50,000. So
no, that's pittance.
Not as much as 200, 300.
Is it just no one's got time to sit down and do it? Or?
We can ask Jason / Leanne, because that's one of the things that they won't do it, but they may be able to recommend somebody who might be able to assist with that. Sean?
As far as I've seen, it always falls down to that one line. They're not going to do it.
No.
Everyone says we've got lots of great ideas.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, if you're prepared to pay someone to fill in the application form, then I can get a recommendation on they will know people who do that on behalf of people, I would think. So
that would be hugely powerful.
Yeah, okay. So why don't we make that an action, Lynette, if we put down that Leanne / Jason could recommend to the board a professional who assists or completes grant application forms, and I'm sure they would know people who do that.
They do,
Because you're right, there are people that do that on behalf of organisations, like the lotteries grant. Probably you've got names they could provide you, or even some of the pokie machine trusts have probably got names.
And then we can get a
people.
quote off that person, and then we'll get a quote from them, and then you can agree or disagree that you want to proceed on that basis. Okay, good. All right, we'll leave that one in there with that action then.
So rubbish in Tuakau CBD is.
I've got a
anything further, Bern? Sean
has done a study, and he's
well, we've talked about it a bit. So I did email this to Caroline. Or can I share my screen? How does that work?
You might be able to, if not Lynette, you have to email it to Lynette, but you might be able to do that. If Lynette gives you temporary hosting rights, you'll be able to do it.
Who's the host? You can't hear.
Sean, if you go down to the bottom of the screen where all the pictures, are you doing it?
Yep, there you go.
Work that out. So can you folks see it or?
No.
No.
You had it.
Nada.
And
Have
then
you
you
got
just,
two screens open?
I do.
Okay, so you need to put it on your main screen.
Okay, well, the same screen as the Zoom.
And then share.
Here we go, share.
not
So
yet.
you go into share screen, pick up the item you want, highlight it, then click share.
Just about.
Yay!
Yay.
Cool. Technology, eh? All right, we'll start at the
We're all
beginning.
learning these new skills.
Yeah. How do I just keep that out of the way a little bit? All right. So I did a bit of it because I wasn't quite sure what we wanted to get out of the rubbish bin discussion and go. I can't really put in a service request with this much information, or I don't have a directive for them, I guess. So I thought we could have just a little bit of a stock take and people would have a better understanding of the state and where we might go from there. So first screen here is Escott's Road, so that's the sports park. There's 9 of those bins. They're generally all in good condition. There's rusty lids on them. I spoke to some contractors down there who had actually put in a service request to get the lid replaced. Yep, they could do with a water blast and a clean. I don't know whether that ever gets on the sorts of jobs that City Care do, or whether they just stay in their condition till done. Main Street, 9 bins in the main street, 5 of the seats, not falling apart, but they are very rusty and pretty tired looking. This is an area where we've talked about the concept of having recycling bins as well. Some more examples, and I think it got mooted at the last meeting about some more damage to the bollards and whether we just do what we did with the rest of them and just remove the rest of them entirely might be the best bet. Yeah, again, I guess just some more photos of the main street there showing the damage to the bollards, the general standard of the bins. Oh, I've skipped ahead a little there. No, back to that one. One of the chains is broken where the pedestrian access is, which I imagine the change there is a health and safety aspect from cars and people that gather, so probably needs some sort of remedial work. Went up to the readout. 1 bin, okay condition, Centennial Park, where the dump station is. Facilities are good. You can see there they've got the fresh water, the dirty water. They do have 1 bin there. Often do see that bin overflowing, whether it could do with a second bin, potentially. Les Batkin, quite a good number of picnic tables and rubbish bins down there. generally, oh, sorry, I keep scrolling the button. You know, facilities are in generally good condition there. I went down there again in the weekend. It is, I would even say it rivals our sports park for numbers of users over a week, certainly in the summer. Massively used. There was nowhere to park a boat trailer. Well, I lie, I got the last one, but nowhere to park a boat trailer. Just to indicate how well it gets used. You know, I was waiting there 3 o'clock in the afternoon with 4 people trying to get in or out of the water. You know, I'm going to suggest probably 150 users down there on Sunday, 200 users easily. So I think it could be a great way. You know, we talk about in the blueprinting with identity. This is a facility that I think could do with some funds thrown at it. Village Place intersection. I'll just do this one while I'm here. Difficult to improve. Obviously, these people have, it's still blind when they're having to turn right. Without road widening and a turning bay, I can't see how that would get fixed. And that's obviously some significant spend. So not sure how you would progress that. I don't think it'll be changed easily with signage and things like that. I was finding other things while I was out there taking pictures. Centennial Park, the bollards around the outside being very tired, obviously. And this was just an ad. We need to do something about this. You've got the guy there next to the funeral homes with a massive stack of burnable demolition materials next to a vacant house with 6-foot grass. I don't know how we do something about that. But I'll go back to the rubbish bins. I guess I'd just like anyone's comments on what they think we should do with these facilities.
No, thanks, Sean, for putting those photos together, because it's that old saying, a photograph speaks 1,000 words. So it makes it much clearer. Yeah, I'll take, that's great. With the last picture of the just abandoned house and all that rubbish.
No, it's not abandoned. No, I can't answer that.
I was going to say, the way you might be able to deal with that is as a fire hazard. With summer coming on. Yeah, Vern, did you have a comment on that one?
Yep, the house is actually now has been donated to the museum. It's parked there until such time as it can go down onto the area in front of the museum, as it's, I believe, one of the oldest surviving Tuakau homes. It came off the Graham property extension there, been given, but it's just been parked there. Unfortunately, I sold this block of land many years ago to these people, and I think that they have just taken the mickey out of us totally. They're Middle European and very difficult to work with in terms of trying to get it cleaned up. But it is something that I'm working on myself with that owner. But in going back to the bin situation, and where we first talked about the project as being something that could become through placemaking, I had discussions with Sean as to how we might do this. Spoke to Leanne with Sean there, and we talked about how we might have 2 bins instead of the one, and one is a recycling at a number of points around town, boat ramps and the parks, etc. Leanne's suggestion was, of course, then we could get some funding from different areas then for the painting of the bins, or what projects could be done around community painting in that area, and then the bins being built potentially through the PRISM program. Now, she was going to send me some examples of what we could look at, but that hasn't happened yet. But yes, thanks, Sean, for doing that.
Comments or?
Yeah, I'll just see if Bronwyn or Stephanie have got a comment, because we can't see their hands up. Bronwyn or Stephanie?
Great work, Sean. I agree. 2 bins. especially down maybe Batkin Reserve, light body, could solve a lot of problems. And i.e. even the old league fields, there's still people go walking and that up there where the and the pony club and all that, something could be put there as well.
Yeah, good point on that one, Bronwyn. We identified 4 or 5 different sites, I think it was, Sean, and we didn't think of that one.
I'm just wondering, Sean, and the team, sorry, I didn't put my hand up. I just see Jonathan's hand up. I'm just wondering, what's the cost there for us if we are looking for the recycling purpose type rubbish bins versus these ones here? Is there a difference in costing for that, Sue, or Lynette or Sean?
I can answer that. I did some pricing of bins a while back, and yeah, you for a single bin you probably start at about $1,000, and for a double bin you can, probably start at about $2,000, strangely, but you can certainly go up to $4,000 for a twin set of bins. Like, they are pretty pricey, which is, these 3 that you can see on the screen now. Those bins are actually 95% of our bins that are in all our parks and reserves. It's only the main street ones that are different to that. And obviously they can get replacement lids for these ones. And, at $1,000 each, I don't know whether they can water blast and stain it like it's nice hardwood timber, and whether they can just get a little bit of love.
Yeah.
Is that something that City Care would do, Sue, or?
I'm not sure. We can find out. So I think there's a couple of things here. I think that it would be really, I'm just wondering how the best thing to do. I think it would be good if I took this report and I'll have a chat to Megan around what's the best mechanism of putting this information through. So the questions we're going to ask them is around maintenance of existing bins. So we're talking water blasting, those sort of things. But then the other question we need to ask them is that, because I really like Vern's suggestion that he worked with Leanne and talked about the prison, because remember Leanne said to us, if we can get partnerships with the prison, they'll make the things if we supply the materials. So it would be interesting to test that with the City Care / Parks and Reserves teams as to whether that could potentially be an option. Because also if we add recycling into here, which I think is a really good idea, because I mean, if you go down to a really good example of that is around Rotorua, all of the parks and reserves there have the green bin, the red bin, and actually they have a blue bin as well. I can't remember what the blue bin is, but they're really effective for people to separate their plastics, to separate their rubbish. So, but then we'd also need to make sure that the collection mechanism was in place for if we're going to go the 2 ways. So I think there's a number of things here that we probably need to consider, because most of these bins are in the parks, I think, aren't they?
Yes.
Yes.
Which would be Parks and Reserves would be responsible for those. But it may be something that you could look at using some place making money for if there's no funding available for additional bins. But like I said, the first question is, will they do a little bit of tarting up and maintenance? Because that would make a big difference to start off with, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because it could take a year.
Hang on, Vern. I'm going to take a question from Jonathan because he's patiently had his hand up.
My only actual question is actually the concern about the recycling, because I got a cousin who lived down in Rotorua, and they were saying they had a huge issue trying to educate people to actually use the bins properly. Now, I mean, they've persevered through it.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's fine, and there's nothing, and I think the idea would be perfect, but what does the contractor think about having to resort stuff, because that's the likelihood.
Yeah.
And it's so easy when you get bins, say for instance, if they're around the back or not in the right place, for people to just chuck any rubbish in there.
Yeah, true.
And so it's about how they're going to deal with that we probably should ask those questions as well. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, definitely a good start would be looking at what they could. I think these photos are very effective for asking the question around the maintenance. So I think that's probably the first thing. And then the second one might be about getting a quote from working with the prison and getting a quote longer term around what they could potentially do for us. And then, but at the same time, we'd need to be talking about whether, if it was a two-phased approach with recycling and rubbish, then we need to ask the question around what does that mean, as Jonathan says, from a collection point of view, both cost and also feasibility of that. So I think if you leave, if you send me this report and we kind of transform this into some actions along those lines, would you be happy with that? And I'll just make sure they go straight to the facilities team to give us some initial responses on how we might progress that, or alternatively what the existing maintenance schedule is for those bins. Yeah.
Yep, that'd be great. Thank you.
That's a good start anyway. Yeah.
I think also, so the other thing that's worth looking at, and certainly Vern's idea of like working with Leanne around what the prison could do, is looking at which is the best material to use. Because like you've already highlighted, and I think it was Sean or someone around like the wooden bins, you know, just giving them a water blast and a revarnish, you know, that's not, doesn't cost that much. Whereas, you know, are the metal bins as easy to renovate, you know, and you know, and making sure we look at the materials, because actually even with the timber you might get recycled timber, so it starts to create a whole recycled story using old timber, like from that picture in that yard. I noticed there's a big stack of old timber in that yard. I could go and pinch some of that and use, you know, and
now.
Yeah.
But it's that whole thing about whole 360 life cycle of materials. You know, what's somebody's old timber that they've not longer got a use for can be used in creating a rubbish bin, you know.
I mean, I think that's part of what the prison does. So they would come up with some examples as designs, or, you know, like, and a lot of that too, they can paint things with, they don't have to be plain, you know, they can do all sorts of different things. So yeah, so it's certainly worth getting that progress. So, and that will probably be Jason, can probably assist with that as well. So, yeah.
So through the chair then, I'd like to continue where I got to with this with Leanne and see what she comes back to us with, but I would totally support that the existing bins need to have a refurbish, because this will take a year or more anyway.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
to get it done.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll definitely ask that. So the first action will be to ask about the maintenance on these. Yeah. Okay.
So Candy's got her hand up. Candy?
Yep, and I just wanted to know where we as the Onewhero-Tuakau Community Board sit when it comes to the sustainable development in regards to some of the goals that I attended the hui earlier this year, and they talked about the environment and what that might look like for each community. And, you know, this sort of rubbish thing that we're talking about now sort of falls in line with what we might be looking at as a community moving into the future. Just as planting an idea, but also on Sean's, thank you for your presentation, Sean. What I saw, and I should have taken a picture of it, was in the toilets on Light Body Reserve there, the ones closer to the club, they have the taps that are the twisty turn taps, you know, that you got to turn on, turn off. Now, I went in there, you know, because I've been up there for the testing and vaccines, and someone had left the tap on. It's one of those taps. I'm wondering if we can consider that through the council, without wasting any more water, because it's not actually hard to turn the tap off, but some people do find it hard to get those push taps, the more effective taps that don't waste water. Because 3 times now I've been up there, and 3 times some egg has left the tap on, and the water's just flooded the whole toilet. 1 and 2. Wasted all that water.
Yeah. Okay, can we create a new action, Lynette, for that? We'll ask facilities again around replacement of taps.
The faucets,
I mean, because
you know,
we must, because I mean, the council must foot the bill. The ratepayer by the council must be footing the bill for that water.
Yes,
so,
thank you.
Yeah.
Just picking up on Candy's point about recycling, the other one might be worth looking at is plastic recycling, where some of those plastics get converted into plastic benches and like plastic playground equipment. I did see a program once that they have trouble finding enough uses for the recycled plastic. So maybe even creating some plastic bins, you know, or the outers, so from recycled plastics again helps with that whole 360 in terms of recycling.
Because they have that place in Waiuku that make the posts for farming.
Posts,
yeah. And they recycle, but I think they take a specific number on what type of plastic they are able to use. Good idea.
And you have one in Thames as well who do other things.
Yeah.
So Leanne, so Sue's going to make, so Leanne's going to make a new action, and we're going to put some actions against that. Fern, is there any chance that you can talk to Leanne and perhaps have something for the next agenda on the prisons and the waste bins?
Our next, give me a date, please.
Will be, is it, we've got a paper on that. I think it's February, isn't it, Lynette? Our next.
Yeah, sure.
February sometime.
Yep. That's fine. I am actually meeting with Jason and Leanne. Yep.
Cool.
Can I just suggest that maybe you aim at, say, 10 twin sets of recycling bins, just as a concept idea?
Yeah.
At this point.
Great.
Right. Okay. So, should we move on to the next one, which is the St Stephen's car park? No update on that. Anybody else got anything to say on that one? No. Moving speedily along. Speed on the Tuakau Bridge, Port Waikato Road. So that's been assessed. And I guess
so this will be in the
rural speed zone. This will be a
yeah.
permanent 60 k's an hour.
Yeah, so this is the one I'm assuming is going into the latest speed bylaw, which the report gets signed off on Wednesday at PNR, which is the report to go out for consultation on. So I think that's the only bit that is included in it. Yeah.
Great. So that'll be good news for Candy. Now, Candy, you got your hand up there, Candy.
Yes, so I'm just asking, so listening to Sue now, does that mean that we're able to then put in submissions when that comes up about the speed along the Tuakau Bridge, Port Waikato Road?
I think the submissions are limited to the sections or the places that are having recommended changes.
Okay, and are they part of the recommendations, those parts that we've been talking about?
It's whatever the section is in here that they put in here, because the question I asked that was something around what was going to be in the here we go. Is the Tuakau Bridge Port Waikato Road in the next speed bylaw review? If not, when will it be the next opportunity? The speed limit on Port Waikato has been assessed. The only section that is proposed to be changed is the section near Kohiroa School, which is proposed to have a rural speed zone. This will be a permanent 60k extending 200 metres either side of the existing signs, and the speed limit will be 40k past the school on weekdays.
So I don't know where Kohiroa School is. It's not along that road.
They got the wrong name.
Road, I think they have, because Kohiroa Road is out in Mercer. I think it's supposed to be Te Kohanga School.
Okay.
And the other area, so that's the only consideration. Is that what that says?
That's what that says. Yeah.
Because the other one was around the marae sites as well.
Yeah, no, I don't think they have been included. I think they would, because we just talked about signage for those. Did we get? I think we got some signage.
We didn't get any signage. Beside, we got one up the hill, which was going around the corner bend. We got the mirrors.
Yeah.
But the one directly 5Ks from the Tuakau Bridge, Te Ao Marahi Marae, which is the one behind me, on the main road, they didn't get any signage there in particular to say slow down when going past that.
Okay. Can you what's the best way to do that? If we create a new action asking about the signs, a sign for a specific action, then it's a lot easier to get an answer. So we'll do a specific action to ask about, can we get a sign? And if you can email Lynette the right spelling and the right names of where it should actually be. Is that all right, Lynette? And then we'll have the exact details to put into the into the action.
Tapai. This one hasn't been new. That's been on the table before, but specific action I can write and the name.
Yeah, that'd be good. And if we could get that in the next couple of days, because we get the action list through to service delivery as quickly as we can. Though it won't matter so much because we're not meeting again till February, but yeah. But the speed bylaw review that is being presented to what is being consulted on is going to the committee on Wednesday, and then it will go out for consultation. So there's a few policies and bylaws going out for consultation. So we will let you know what all of those are. You'll be getting notified of that. Yeah, cool. West Street Car Park.
All right, now I'm aware of. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure. I think the issues listed was pretty clear: lighting and marking of the car park. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So that
what do people want to do with that one?
So that one's the condition that they've assessed means that it wouldn't have any work done on it for the next little while.
Sean?
I guess to say when it says average, so there is no line marking. And I'll take West Street and the other one, St. Stephen's. There is no line marking in either of them. Entranceways I would not say are average. I would say they are poor, potholed. Generally, they don't utilize the space well. So I'll argue that average.
Okay, could we do the same here? Because I'm just trying to get more exact things. So would you mind just sending an email to Lynette with the detail of what you believe, because they've said changed, which is, where is it? Sorry, it is not programmed. Can the community board please expand on the issues they have listed and explain exactly what? So would you mind doing that for us so that we can get those exact issues into the, and then they can respond to each one?
I will try and take some happy snaps.
Thank you.
I was going to say, Sean, since your photos were so effective on the rubbish bins, it's probably worth taking some photos, because that really it really spells out the message loud and clear what the issue is. So Sean
That'd be
will pick that one up.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the next one, I'm trying to move a little bit quickly through this given the time. Backland Road development, the park concept planning and engagement. So that's there.
Yeah.
Land has been acquired. Does anybody have any questions? So that will come back to us new year, will it? Because the project's planned.
Yes.
Is there anything that we need to...
Is that the housing we're talking about by the school? Oh,
it's a park.
Candy?
Sorry, Sean.
Carry on.
Is that the housing development we're talking about, the park there, where the new housing development is by the school?
I don't know.
Yep. So it's the land in front of that new development. So basically all the housing's going on the
school side.
The park's going on Buckland Road, and all the housing goes on the other side. There's no connection straight through. I will say that, given the amount we've been talking about parks and reserves for the last 4 years, I'm kind of disappointed. Like, whilst it's great, I'm disappointed to see $1 million being chucked at it without us really having any. Well, there's been no consultation, discussion. Is that the best place for $1 million to go in parks in Tuakau? I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah. And I did see Sean there just to support that. That young man, or the man Corey, that sent us an email about the dog park and the what they're doing over there. They said if there's any new parks that were going to go in, that's when they will put consultation out to us so we can be involved in what that looks like, right? Is that correct?
So Sue, given the concerns raised, it says the project's due to start in mid-February. Can we, on our February meeting, have an update of exactly what's planned and a little bit of consultation with the community board around?
I'll talk to and Caleb, the new team leader.
Lovely.
I might even see if I could get them to come along, particularly if it's a Zoom meeting, and they could talk to it. But I absolutely get Sean's point, because I think the question I actually raised was, how did this eventuate? Because we were all a bit, at the last meeting, we were all a bit bemused about, well, where did this come from? Because suddenly there was this parks and reserves with all this money. And obviously it was part of a strategy that said there wasn't enough land. And so they'd obviously acquired the land, which is usually a strategic property type decision. But it kind of came out of left field, didn't it? When we were doing most of the thinking and talking was around light body reserve and what we could do with that. And then suddenly this one suddenly pops up. So I think what I'll do is I will also talk to them about giving us a better story about how we ended up with this as our proposed secondary park or whatever it is there. We are planning for this. So I'll just get them to give a little bit more context, and then also just to be really clear about when the community board will be involved, not if, but when. Because you're right about Candy, about Corey. Corey is one of the project team, and she's very good with the whole, she did the Tuakau library and she's doing the skate park with us as well. And she is very, very good at all of that, but she usually inherits it after the idea. They then inherit it to deliver it. So I just need to find out where that project's actually at. Yeah.
And just on another
Andy,
note,
you had your hand up?
Yeah, I did. Just on another note, and sorry, I thought Corey was a man, but Corey is a lady.
Yes.
All good. On another note, on the other side, before it becomes a bigger issue, on Elizabeth's side, on that side there is where a lot of the traffic flow goes down. And I'm not sure, but with the school board, I think we have reached out to have some consideration if that road could be widened, because the amount of buses and the traffic that go down Elizabeth Street with the new development may actually cause more havoc than anything. We did, I think Mr. Betty reached out to Councillor Church in regards to what could be done about that. I'm just thinking, while it's in development, would there be some consideration rather than waiting till later?
Yeah,
and then
it would
coming
only
back?
be it would only be if it was considered that the development was big enough to justify requiring a larger road, and I don't know what the mechanics of that are, then the cost would be incurred by the developer for widening that road. So I'm not sure where that is at, or whether that discussion's been had, or whether the analysis showed that it needed widening. Not sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Sean, sorry.
Yeah, I just so they will have had the conversation with the council already, probably 2 years, well, a year ago or more, and there would have been, professionals engaged to have a look at that, and obviously they decided it didn't need it.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you'd progress it at this point.
Because council, it's not a cost that council can afford to incur. So it has to come as a cost of growth and a cost of development, because it won't be in our budget.
So you would think before they decided, they gave the okay, that they might have considered that, right? And put
they
that
probably
into their
did.
budget.
I'm not saying that they didn't, but they might have done the analysis. I mean, it's all worked out on numbers and all of that kind of thing, projected numbers. And so they've probably done all of that. Professional engineers, traffic engineers do all of that kind of work for every large subdivision consent. And then if it's decided that it's not required, it doesn't go ahead. So it's because the development isn't going to generate a big enough. So our view on what might require a wider road might not be what the actual engineering design has shown.
Thanks, Sue.
All right. I want to move on. Fern, have you got anything new to add?
I was just going to say it's too late. The horse is bolted because the resource consent and so on's been granted, and the building is already underway.
Yep.
Okay. So I want to move. I want to move on to item number 14, which is the Harrisfield Road.
That's the one I haven't got the update on. Verbal update. I haven't heard back from transport. So moving on to the blueprint.
Port Waikato blueprint. That doesn't look like there's anything to report on that, because COVID's held up community consultation, but it's good to see that happening.
So an updated timeline will be provided as soon as we're able on community consultation, when we intend to kick that back off again. Yeah. I think it's going to be something that the councillors have on an agenda soon. Yeah.
Yeah. So the next page is the community project. So we've got the Tuakau skate park. So wait, anything on that? Just awaiting approval. Yeah. The Whangarata, any Whangarata cemetery. light
And
body.
is that the one that's being looked at as a potential dog park while it's not a cemetery? That'll be coming out in the dog policy bylaw, which is coming out next week as well. So I think they're potentially looking at an interim use of that that space. So just keep your eyes open.
So
for that
the
one.
other ones we've got on this page is the light body reserve car. Yeah, the light body reserve car park and the St Stephen's car park and the Harrisfield Bridge. So I think we've talked about all those.
Yeah.
I'm not intending to go through all the blueprint stuff tonight because we went through it well last time and time's ticking along. So we can have a look at that over Christmas and into it in February. The first quarter report was the service report. So we've got Onewhero and Tuakau report. Any questions from anybody? Bronwyn or Stephanie?
I can't see it, so it's not coming up on my phone. So that's cool.
Right.
Cool.
Okay. So it's this. No, that's all right. Anybody else got any questions on that? No. Okay. Moving along.
The only thing that I want to mention is some of those the things on the footpath along the main street are becoming a bit uneven in places for people that are walking.
Okay.
That's all.
So you need to log that as a service request.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I have a
no, that's
question.
right.
What comes of this data? So we get this data produced, sent to us quarterly.
Yep.
What comes from it? What's the results or the outcomes that come of it?
So what we do with the service request data is that each of the teams will be looking at that to see whether there's any consistent trends and things that are happening or going wrong, or and then that's where we will look at doing improvements. So we're just asking people to make a commitment to responding to both the service request. It's done, but it's done on an ad hoc basis at the moment, not on a consistent across all groups. So between that and our resident satisfaction survey, we hope to develop proper improvement plans to make sure we're addressing the things where we're getting a lot of customer feedback on things that are issues. So really doing a lot more analysis around, well, are we getting a whole lot of potholes in one particular road, or are we having water leak problems in one particular area? So at the moment, it's, as I said, done on an ad hoc basis when there's a real exception, but we are going to try and get better about doing that. Yeah. So it's not ignored.
I mean, if you look at the Tuakau one, the thing that really stands out in the graph and the report is the number of inquiries regarding consent inquiries. So that would signal that the consent department's been very busy, and also the level of interest in Tuakau for development
the consent
stuff.
department is incredibly busy.
Yeah. So the next item we've got is a schedule of meetings for 2022. So there's the dates listed. So the last one is August. Oh, we've got the elections after that. Wow.
Next year, isn't it?
Oh, they're on Tuesdays next year. Did we not have them on Monday? We were on Mondays, weren't we? Yeah.
Yes, we're on Monday. Can we change it back to Monday?
Any reason why they've gone to a Tuesday?
Yeah, I have the answer for that. So when we were collating the scheduling for next year, we have found that there are a lot of public holidays that are going to be on Monday. So if you have a look on the schedule that you have on the table that on the net has provided, if you pushed that Tuesday date to a Monday, you'd hit 3 public holidays. And if you do it the week after, you hit 2 public holidays. So we kind of thought, well, that would be better just having it on Tuesday, and you got a consistency rather than chopping and changing between Mondays and Tuesdays. So we're trying to avoid community boards having to fall on those Monday, Tuesday alternating issues.
Is that going to create a problem for anybody, or you're okay, Candy? You look worried.
Oh, you know how it goes. No, I should be able to work around it.
Right. No, it's often the case. The first date's in the diary, everything else works around it.
That's good. Yep. That's a good thing.
Yeah,
Forward planning.
And it's only once every 6 weeks. So hopefully if you've got a monthly thing, you can line it up so it misses the 6 weeks schedule. No, that's great. So we're happy to approve that. We don't need a mover and seconder on that, do we, Lynn? Because we moved a lot.
I'll move it. I'll second it.
Yeah, you move it, Candy. I'll second it. That's great. Right, so we've got that. We're whizzing through now. We've got the next one, which is the final proposal for the Tuakau swimming pool entry fee.
Yep.
So that's in the recommendation there.
Yep. So it's basically the same as last year. They agreed to the same price, and they agreed to a daily rate reduction if for instance on the 4th of December they weren't able to open for say another week or two because of COVID, then that would get deducted off the 7,600. It would come through as a credit. So basically what I'm asking here is that obviously the report be received, and then that I put a copy of the draft agreement there, that the board is happy for Caroline and myself to sign that, and then it would go to Belgravia for them to sign it off as well, which means that we can, they've already verbally agreed through Sean, and we've got that in emails. So it's really just tidying up the paperwork so that if the 4th of December comes around, we're ready to kick off with that the dollar fee.
Great. Now, lovely. Sean, you've put a lot of work into this. Do you want to move this item?
Yep, I'm happy to move that item. Yep.
Great. And who would like to second it? Jonathan. Great. There you go. All right. Anybody got any points they want to raise? It's just good to see this is happening. It's very exciting.
Is this anything else you're talking about?
No, just the pool, the
pool,
funding.
Right.
Yeah.
No, fantastic.
Yeah. Great. Okay, that's good.
Candy, while you were missing, we decided on putting some money towards an event for January with the pool, like you did last year.
Awesome.
Okay,
so
that's going to be up to $500.
Nice.
So we can do something, and there'll be that Christmas for the park as of some description when I get everybody's heads together. And what was the other thing?
Lunch for the kaumatuas.
The kaumatua lunch and for haitiaki.
Yeah. Haitiaki. Papai.
Haitiaki.
Yeah.
Okay. That was while you were missing. Okay.
I was there.
Oh, you were there, but I didn't.
Okay. You disappeared for a while from our view. Okay, let's just got the last few items, everybody. So we've got the update from the exec. Sue, over to you.
Okay. I guess our world has been taken up at the moment with we went out to consultation with our staff today on our vaccine policy for going forward. We've set up some interim tactics just to manage in the meantime to keep ourselves open. So we are requiring double vaccination of all staff who are either coming into the offices or who are out in the field connecting and being exposed to the community. Everyone else is continuing to work from home. And we went out to, as I said, consultation today, and that closes on the 2nd of December. So we'll have then have a much better idea about where we're going in the future. So that's been taking up a huge amount of time. On top of all of that, the numbers of building consents, resource consents, etc., have not slowed down at all. Surprisingly, we just want a break. The staff, we were talking to the councillors today. The staff are extremely fatigued. They're run down. The workload's just not letting up. The community's got very vocal, very angry in a lot of cases, not necessarily about things we're doing, but they take it out on us. There's just a huge amount happening. So what we're trying to do is just ease off over the next 5 weeks till Christmas. We're trying to make things just work a little bit better for staff. Obviously just sitting in front of computers all day and all of that kind of thing is starting to play on everybody. So what we've asked the councillors to do is we have actually asked them to triage any new issues or queries through the executive. So basically, if you've got any new, you don't go directly to staff, you actually come through the GMs, and then we'll we'll move it around. So yeah, I guess they're the really key things that are happening. And then obviously next week we've got 3 policies. I think we've got the gambling venue policy. We've got the, oh no, that's not going out for consultation. They agreed to keep it as is. So we're going out to consultation is the speed bylaw and the dog policy and bylaw review, which will both be in your radar. Yeah. So that's me.
That's great. Thanks, Sue. That's,
oh, Candy's got a question, has she?
Yeah, Candy.
Yeah, kia ora, Sue, thanks for that. Look, I'm just wondering in regards to vaccinations, what does that mean for community boards and councillors? Are we required to be vaccinated? Is there a policy around that?
No, we're focusing on staff at the moment. So at the moment, if for instance, if councillors are coming into our premises, they are being treated like, I guess, the public. So in our public areas, it won't be a requirement. If councillors, this is just an example, if councillors wish to come back of office to talk to staff, they can't do that until we have cited and certified that they are double vax. So there's nobody allowed in our back offices. So if you're meeting with if there's public coming in, it'll just be at the front of house where we're accommodating that. But we talked to councillors today. They're obviously going to have to put some thinking. That was what I was saying about future consultations, future events like the blueprinting, all of that kind of thing. The councillors and yourselves are going to have to start putting some thinking into what that might look like in the future. So at the moment, the whole focus has been on staff and not on anybody else. So there's no rules in place apart from access to our premises.
And that was going to be my next question. When it comes to consultation out in our community, what does that look like for us, when we're doing that?
Yeah, well, I don't think there wouldn't be any consultation with our community unless we were going to be mandating some restriction on access to public facilities. And at the moment, we're not considering that because it's a public right to access we believe it's a public right to access our facilities. So that will be a bigger piece of work further down. And I guess if they did decide to restrict access, then potentially that would become a consultation exercise. Yeah.
I think, is that what you meant, Candy, or did you mean more broadly, like when council staff are consulting with the community over any issue, like you've talked about the Port Waikato blueprint and us looking at how we might need to do this a bit differently?
Yes, I mean,
when we do, normal
that's right.
consultation.
How do we keep ourselves safe and the
Yes.
community safe?
Yeah.
When we're out there doing mahi on behalf of the council.
Yeah, and that's something that that we raised with the councillors today, or was raised, and that's something that they're going to have to think about from that perspective. So yeah. Yeah.
I think some of it's not going to be so hard over summer, because if you do everything outside, it keeps it a bit safer as well.
Yeah.
But it's for once you get colder or wetter weather. Thank you, Sue. I'll just see if there's any questions. Anybody got any questions of Sue's report? No. Okay. So we'll just move on. I think Stephanie, are you still online?
Can't see her.
No, a little voice pops up. No. We've lost Carolyn, so lost Stephanie. I'll do a round of everybody for just updates from any board members. If you've got any quick updates, I'll call out names one time. It's the quickest way of doing it. Jonathan?
No, we haven't had any local meetings for obvious reasons, and they've just decided we'll all catch up in the new year, and hopefully we'll be able to sit down and have a chat and a beer.
Yeah, no, that's good. Candy?
I thought you would have left me for last, but that's all right. Hey, look, I might have missed when my picture came up, but did we decide we're having a Christmas function up at Lavala? Did we decide that?
Well, we
haven't
talked
got
about it.
I thought I'd just bring that up.
But not tonight.
We haven't talked about it
When
tonight
then? Because
yet.
this is the last meeting, isn't it?
Yeah, we might leave that to the last bit. So then Sue and Lynette can. Bronwyn?
Oh no, I'm not finished. There was just that one.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. The other one was I've had some inquiries about toilets. Toilets up at the Alexander Redoubt where the cemetery is, and then also at the dog park. Will there be consideration for toilets at those areas? rather than, and I saw it and I've got it recorded on a Facebook message, rather than peeing in the bushes.
I'm not aware of any additional toilets in the district, but we can put that question to the facilities team. I don't imagine they've got any budget for extra facilities. That might be something you might want to consider as a community project, or get something sponsored, or but I doubt very much. But please, we'll put it through as an action, and we'll just get a response on that, whether there is any additional.
Well, I'm just mindful, earlier we were talking about a possible $1 million park, Buckland Road there. Would they have toilets as well? That sort of thing. Yeah. I think that was me, just those toilets. Thank you.
Vern, you had your hand up.
Yep. If we talk to Leanne further, there is funding available through government on sustainable green style toilets as used throughout all of the walking tracks in the Waikato district. So that is something that we should investigate further, because one of the problems that you'll have with some of these parks is there won't be the sewage connections and so on. So we need to consider the other options and funding opportunities.
Okay, so we can put that on our action list, and then hopefully Leanne can provide an update at the next meeting. Vern, you might as well carry on now. Candy, have you finished? Yeah. So you do your report, Vern.
I think the only thing that I had to bring up is what I sent out to you all today. We did the Lighting Express last night around town, and I've submitted that. And
Eve's putting that through as a service request, Vern. So I'll send.
No, I'm not going to. I don't have the time, to be honest.
No, I said Eve is doing that on your behalf. I asked her today to do that. Okay. But I'll send you the number once we've got it logged.
So what I did a little differently this time around is I've got the poll numbers, and there are several that have never, ever worked. So I'm very keen to see now what happens with that.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, Bronwyn.
Oh, I just thought of something then. Okay.
It's your turn, Bronwyn. Do you want to do?
I have been trying to get a toilet, Candy. I have been trying to get some sort of toilet or something up at Alexandra Redoubt, and so, or i.e. the cemetery. So maybe we could do something like Vern just suggested. Not sure what, but a green style loo would be awesome, of some description up there, because a lot of people, older people, go up there every day to the cemetery, and there's nothing for them. I know a lady in Pukekohe was very, very distressed because the toilets over at the shopping centre where she goes to all the time were locked, and she couldn't use them, and she embarrassed herself. And that's not good.
Oh, shame.
Yeah.
No.
So something like that. And getting back to, like I said, Christmas, I think something small, but something in the Central Park down there. I know where there's a Christmas tree. I know where the decorations are, and it's just a matter of getting some solar lights. I decided on, instead of having some solar lights there instead of having power. But Vern, make sure you've got it on your list. The generator.
My generator is unfortunately buggered, so I can't help you with that one.
We've got a generator at home, Bronwyn, if you need one, if you can't source one from anybody else locally in Tuakau.
Cheers. It's just so that we've got some music. I've asked the youth centre kids that have got their band, and they're happy to do help out on the day.
Lovely. So I'll just get a reminder on the dates with you. That's perfect. Sean, did you have an update on anything? You're on mute. You've done a great job with the photos, so.
Nothing else to add, thank you.
No, that was really good. That was really good. So Stephanie's not there?
No.
I joined the Zoom meetings with council have been great, Sue. I think like you, my life of COVID, that's what I seem to focus on at the moment. So I'm pretty sure I think it was one meeting. I was just trying to look back at the dates and see whether it occurred before our last meeting or since then, but one on COVID planning with the council, and also a Zoom on the dog control. It was a pre-consultation discussion around dogs on lead and dogs off lead and dogs packs and stuff like that, which was always always get some lively discussion going when you talk about dogs. So and
workshops.
That's right. So that was good. It was good. And I've just sent out the other day, I sent out the figures that Gavin's been getting the figures from Waikato DHB on the COVID numbers, but he doesn't get them every day on the count, like for the Tuakau, Greater Pukekohe area, because that comes from Counties Manukau. But Gavin Irons did get them the other day. So that's why I've sent them out to all of you, which was interesting reading. If anybody's interested in statistics around hospitalizations and vaccinated versus unvaccinated, I can also share those figures with you for Counties Manukau area, because I've got those too, and it's very enlightening. So I'm happy to share those as well, so I can forward those out separately for you. Yeah, so if you want to know anything about COVID, I can probably answer every question. I've got more information than I ever need to have on Pfizer. So so apart from that, so there is consultation at the moment on the stock on road bylaw, which I need to have a look through. That's opening till the end of November, which I'll have a look through and talk to Jonathan whether we want to do feedback as a board. And then the dog control one will be coming up, and
the speed bylaw. And then I also wrote a letter on behalf of the Onewhero-Tuakau Community Board to support the to just express our concern at the way Onewhero and Pukekohe have been carved in half with the representation review boundary. Yeah.
What's come of the representation review? Has it come out, the final
Jonathan,
stuff?
The final, it's gone for appeal. So I don't know, Jonathan, if you might have got more of an update on that than I have actually, because it's closer to so it's just the information just went, and then I guess they'll just look at it and then come back with some answer.
This year or next year?
I'm not sure on the timeline of it. We can get that for you though. Timeline. Yep.
Yeah.
It'll be on the website.
So that's I think actually Tuakau has done quite well, really. Candy, you might know the figures too for COVID cases. We're coming off there's not been that many in Tuakau, have there? Certainly from the information I've seen.
There was one today, wasn't there?
It's actually over 100.
Oh, is it? There was 114 in the whole Greater Pukekohe area.
Yeah,
a lot of those were in Tuakau.
Yeah, and a lot actually, they're actually over 200 in Pukekohe.
Yeah,
we've got some out the port and Pōkeno and Miri. So that's something we should be looking at, is talking about being safe and just continuing to highlight the safety measures, and especially around isolation. That's even bigger now than vaccines and testing, but testing is the most important because that's where we find out.
Yeah, I think you're right, Candy. I think because at the moment, because people are COVID positive, people are being cared for at home, and also people are like close contacts are supposed to be self-isolating at home. It's really important that people respect that space and don't think, oh, I'll pop around and visit him, go and see how he is, because it puts themselves and it puts everybody else at risk, because that's how it gets spread.
The other thing is that you get victimized too. What we've noticed in the mahi that we do is, if you get COVID, you're the carrier and you're the spreader, and nobody actually wants to get tested because they are afraid that they're going to be victimized because they have COVID.
The other fear is too, people are reluctant to get tested because they're worried about their jobs, because if they have to go into isolation and can't work for 2 weeks, they're like,
absolutely,
they're worried about work as well.
It's actually, even the reality is what we're seeing now is actually it's a month-long isolation, especially if you have a family of 4. It's like the chicken pox. One gets it 1 week, the next one gets it the next week. So your whole house is, and the reality of it is that people need to go to work and pay the bills, but they don't realize, actually it's quite severe. You're spreading COVID.
It's also too, if they get it, but if they do get COVID, like you're playing Russian roulette, but you don't know whether you're going to get it mildly or end up in ICU. And you don't know if you're going to get long tail COVID either, which could mean that you'll be sick for a year or more. So it is about
right.
Yeah, it is been really safe for people.
But I think we just need to work out for ourselves, and this is what we're saying now, is how do we live with COVID in our community? Hey, how do we keep ourselves safe, but still trying to keep on living as normal as we can with COVID here? So that's what's been the messaging we're trying to put out, and then still keeping positive as well. Christmas is coming up. Jeez, summer is coming up.
Borders are opening.
And we're going to share the love around the rest of the country. So I think the important thing is like celebrate outside, because being outside, there's a much lower risk of COVID being spread, and keep those social distances, and just encourage those who are still a little bit vaccination hesitant. One is if they've had the first vaccine, to make sure they have the second one. And for those who are yet to join the mahi, to come on board. AstraZeneca is going to be available for, they've got enough for 50,000 doses for people to get, both vaccines. So that will be available for those who have got real issues with Pfizer who had bad reactions. So that's coming soon. It'll be going to essential workers first. Sorry, Candy.
Sorry. The other thing is, I wanted to know how we go about using the field down at the Alexander Redoubt Road, which used to be the rugby league fields. I still have a key for the gate, but Sue or Lynette, how do we? I wanted to use it as a promotional event there.
I think just if you ring our contact centre, they will be able to either answer that for you or put you through to the right person, because they'll know about all the access to our parks or our lakes or our reserves. So just ring
I have access.
Yeah. So just ring the contact centre, and they should be able to get you into the right right person's ear. Yeah.
So on that final note, that final question, were we going to do a Christmas event as a community board?
A dinner.
Lavalas? Outside in the grounds? Bring a plate?
I can ask what's available and what the cost options are and all those sorts of things, and come back. Yeah, I know there'll be other Christmas events, and we are doing stuff outdoors. Just not sure on the numbers and what bookings and what dates are available and that sort of thing. So, I mean, or you can just ring David or my wife, and that'll be far more reliable.
Supporting local. Awesome.
Oh, well, let us know, Sean, and I'm sure we're all flexible on the date.
Yep.
None of us will be going anywhere for the moment.
I just wanted to make a special note that tonight is Lynette's last night as our committee secretary for the board, isn't it? Because we don't have another board meeting before Lynette retires at the end of this year. Lucky Lynette.
Oh wow! Oh, thank you, Lynette.
Just
for
thought
all
I'd
your
let you all
efforts.
know.
Yeah.
So you won't see Lynette again.
Oh, Lynette.
Oh, thank you for all the support you've given us. That's been great.
You're
And is Matt going to replace you?
I don't know.
Possibly.
No, well, thank you, Lynette. That's been lovely.
Probably been trying it out.
Yeah.
What are you going to do next, Lynette?
So my husband has retired already. He's taken early retirement from New Zealand Steel, and we are going to be looking after our little granddaughter once a fortnight in Widening.
Lovely.
Nice.
You'll be busier than that. Everybody I know that retires end up being really busy.
Oh, look, we've got 22 acres. We're busy as.
Oh, you're busy anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, good on you. Thank you for all your support, and wish you well for the future.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So, does anybody else want to say anything to Lynette before we go?
No, awesome, Mahi. Awesome, Mahi.
Thanks, Bronwyn.
Thank you. Always got a smile, even though she's seething in the background.
Right.
Yeah, thank you, Lynette. Thank you for all your emails and putting up with us and your attendance at our hui. It's been awesome. And gee, it's just getting to know you, and now you're disappearing. Good reason. So I wish you the very best for your new endeavours with your whānau and looking after your mokopuna. Ka
Thank
pai.
you very much. I've got an awesome team that I'm with at the moment, so I know they'll look after you.
Right. And on that note, should we close the meeting? And Candy, do you want to say a few final words?
I can. And unless you wanted to say anything else, that's it. Okay. Tēnei te mea kia koutou katoa. Te hui whakamutinga o tēnei tai. So he karakia whakamutinga. Kia tau kia tātou katoa, te ata whai o tō tātou ariki a iukaraiti, me te aroha o te atua, me te whiwhinga taihitanga ki te wairua tapu ake. Amene.
Amene.
Amene. Kia ora tātou, Candy. Kia ora everybody.
Oh,
Ka te
have
kia.
fun.
See ya.
Te kia.
See you,
Bye.
bye.